It's can't quite.
You swallow purposefully loud. I know you do. That is
That right there,
unnecessary
yeah.
gulping.
I was
picked
doing it
up.
right there.
Okay, because it sounds painful.
That's pretty good, dude.
No, that's
not as loud as a gulp as I've ever
that's from
heard.
when things got weird back in his college days. He got real good at that, didn't he, Bracken?
I had fake swallowing. I don't know what you're implying.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah. BK, you were on a game show once. We had a revelation that we've all been in publications. We're all famous to a certain extent. Bracken, what was your publication that you were in?
Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Is that like the third or fourth?
Oh, come on.
I
Don't do
don't
that to
know.
Lori Nichols. It's
I
the
don't know.
#1 publication in Wisconsin.
Okay. You guys
Well,
keep it real.
What
That's
happened was
state.
Jack attached a Hyrox. What was this in Men's Health? Rich was
Jack,
like was the cover boy for like these hybrid CrossFit parallel races, and Rich ripped on there as like one of the photos they use in Men's Health. You better got paid for that. And then we all tried to one up each other with our like stardom, and it turned into kind of a joke on the back end. And I think ultimately Jack won, but
Yeah,
I
Jack,
couldn't
what was
find
yours?
my
Oh, yeah.
best one.
100%.
You're an ad in
I don't know.
Pardon?
The Milwaukee Journal Constitution or whatever sounds pretty impressive by
Journal Sentinel.
Bracken.
And I was in Men's Fitness, and I
Journal
got
Sentinel.
hosed on that
Oh,
one.
that's Atlanta.
Almost as bad as Rich got hosed on Men's Health.
that's
I
the
did-
New York Times of Milwaukee for anybody who cares. Just-
Can I? Yeah, I should subscribe.
What happened with your deal with Men's Health? Because it felt similar to what happened to Men's Fitness with me.
So I had a little interview, but not, it was just like before Worlds and everything. And it was just kind of like a conversation about where this sport and like how it could kind of like, basically the idea is like CrossFit came, plateaued, it might be dipping. What's going to be the next thing? And just had a conversation with them about that. Must have said nothing good. Got no play in that. And then I didn't get it. And they're like, send us a photo. I was like, okay, cool. And then they put the photo in, but no name next to the photo. So it's just
So you
like,
didn't get your interview, and you got an uncredited photo.
correct. So it's
Jack
just like,
Loris is not happy.
we tried to get Jack Goris' photo. He's like, no dice. I'm bigger than that. I'm out.
It was like a clickbaity, like 4 fitness competitions that you don't know about or something, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Like
I was thinking, yeah, they must have changed what the article was because it sounded like it was going to be a bit more of an actual like start finish what's happening in this space, but it was more just like quick clips of Hyrox is this, like 100 words on Hyrox, deck is this, 100 words on Hyrox, and then 2 other things that I don't know what they were.
Back in the day, they had the Men's Fitness Ultimate Athlete Games, and they put on 2 competitions, one in Illinois and one in New York. And the winner was going to get like $2,000 or $4,000 or something and share a spread. All right. If we win both of them, we don't have to share it. What are you going on here? Shuffling us? Order of
No,
importance?
that wasn't
weird.
me. That was Jack's up to something. He's doing something. I don't know what
Hands
that
up
was.
here.
So our master
We
plan
all got
was,
moved around.
he wins New York, I win Illinois. We don't have to share with anyone else.
This is with Macaulay, or I
Yeah,
missed
Macaulay.
that was when the shuffle.
So my brother and I decided we'd win each one.
That's a good thing to decide. I'm just
So there
gonna
was a
decide
1
I'm
mile obstacle course, an 800-meter obstacle course, and a 400-meter obstacle course. And you had 1 hour to complete all 3. It was your aggregate time, and you could do it in any order you wanted and with any stagger in between. So it was all like people wanted to get to 1 and get it done and then wait. And then you had to wait till the bottlenecks cleared or whatever. Anyways, Macaulay and I went 1-2 in the first one. And then he went out and won New York. So we're all set. We're like, we have like 6 weeks until our interview. And this thing comes out. And we just went all in on lifting. We lifted and did core every day just to be as jacked as possible. Because we're going to get a full spread in the middle of the magazine and a photo shoot. And they had talked to us at the event about how this was all happen. And then they emailed us, set us up with who was going to be doing the shoot for us. They said they'll get back to you in 6 weeks on this thing when you're going to set up and do it. We're like, we nailed this. It's going to be so big for us. And 4 weeks later, it came out. It was in the intro, like table of contents, next thing, one little circle thumbnail of both of us saying we were the winners of the competition. That's it.
Oh,
No spread.
man.
They'd taken a look at the podium. There was a jacked guy and then our skinny little college distance runner standing on top, and decided we don't want a photo shoot with these guys. So we spent a month just like bro lifting, and they decided we're not giving them any of this. So we didn't get our spread. We got, like you, a thumbnail, pretty much uncredited, no photo shoot, no spread.
Which changes
the magazine.
Yeah, do you have some? Can we swap? Like we swap jerseys? Can we swap magazines?
If we can find one, it might have only been in their digital publication that month too.
Like
it was,
you don't
they
have
reduced it to the lowest possible version of still doing what they said they were going to give for the winner. And as a result, here I am on a second or third rate podunk podcast rather than just like some like Playgirl spread or whatever would have come out of this. I don't know. Something big.
I believe, I mean, I've just stopped, maybe not just, but like in the past couple of years, thinking that there's going to be a moment where it's like, oh, okay, if this happens, then all of a sudden I'm going to go from like the bottom, like jumping right to the top. I'm sure you guys had that in your case, but these publications probably do little to nothing. Kirk, yours was actually like, did they say your name? It looked like they.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got a full write up on me. Yeah. It was what, well, I mean, you know, we don't even need to talk about me because I've been in a million magazines and 1,000 things because of the Bachelor stuff. But for the fitness stuff, it's been.
You did have that breakthrough moment that we all thought we were going to get.
Right. And then it all went downhill exponentially in a progressive fashion since.
But
like,
this guy hunts. No,
you guys know this.
guys.
So I was Fox 9's fitness expert here in the Twin Cities. So I went on twice a week and did fitness segments on the morning show. I was their certified guy. A bunch of write-ups with that. But the one I sent you was eye candy delivery, I think was the subheading. It was what was it for? Women's health, shape. I did a bunch of stuff for them back in the day, but it was 10.
It gets lost in the shuffle.
10 fittest trainers from America's fittest cities or something like that. And
that was my question. I didn't know Minneapolis was the fittest city.
I think they just found some sucker willing to fill out the questionnaire, and they're like, "Oh, it was Minneapolis. It's good enough."
I'll tell you what. Yeah, your picture there, shirtless, hanging from the bar, like someone had photoshopped all of our abs onto yours all at once, was exactly how I envisioned being photographed. That right there is what I wanted. That's all I wanted out of life, was that jacked, shirtless, great lighting. And
do you want to know the truth, though? I mean, the number of times your story happened to me in media, I had People Magazine come out and photograph me, do an interview. They were going to do this whole little spread. Never saw the light of day. They sent somebody out with cameras and flew them out to waste their weekend or whatever it was to do nothing with it. Like that stuff happens all the time in media. Yours is like the tip of the iceberg.
What do you think filled that space? Probably nothing good. These guys, they basically see the same thing every single magazine that comes out. It's the same stuff over and
happens all the time.
And that's what I think we find in this sport, because this sport's weird where it's small enough that we all share the same opportunities. Anytime an opportunity arises in the sport, it's like the same 50 people all have a chance to get in on that, whether it's a TV show or an article or anything like that. So we all have the same stories. Like, I was about to be this person, then I didn't. And like, I didn't get picked for $1 Million Mile, but I would have won that. And I should have won 50 grand on Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge, but they changed. Like, everyone's got their story of I should have been the star. And then you realize that is the experience of everyone. That happens hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a year. And then sometimes someone gets it and breaks through. But we all think that we were unique, that we had that one thing extinguished. No, everyone's dream gets extinguished. They dangle something and extinguish it because they probably float it to like 50 people and then they choose one.
If you want to feel better about yourself, I applied for Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge because I was told I should. And I did the whole thing and made the video and I never got a response. So rejected.
Wow.
I thought my resume would sell me for sure.
Were you doing Spartan races at the time? What year was this?
I was just getting into it. It was their second season I applied for.
It's the week after Thanksgiving 2015, and that was outdoor in Atlanta. And then 2016, were you part of that one, Bracken? I don't think you were the second one, right?
No, I got
that
too
was like
big
a year
for my
later.
britches.
Yeah. That was more
First
like
year
Question
I
though, when
said-
you guys did that, so I got
Produce.
rejected for that, but then for 2 or 3 years in a row after that, I got a call asking if I'd be interested in showing up to American Ninja Warrior. So they said no to Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge, and then they like every year they'd be like, "We're coming in. Are you interested?" And I didn't do it because I wasn't. But
So do you want to do terrible at this other one?
Which
do you
is
want to
what
do well in
exactly
one or
what
terrible in the other?
Did you guys get that then? Was there crossover? Because it was the same network. So they reached out to me about
Yep.
that, but not you did too. I figured.
It was the Arthur Smith production company or whatever. You remember Ace Smith and Co. something like that. But yeah, I had like 4 interviews for Skype interviews and stuff for American Ninja Warrior, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we're at the final stage. We'll let you know." And then I never got the call.
Everybody needs a token redhead. They really do.
Yeah.
I never got Ninja Warrior. I got invited to do a, what do they call it? A formality interview for $1 Million Mile and Broken Skull Ranch. And I didn't get either one.
You didn't get
It's
Broken
just a
Skull?
formality. Just come on here and chat with us. We just need to make sure that like you're functional on camera. And I didn't get it. So it was like ego started up here. Whoom, whoom. Like, it's a formality. As long as you're not just like a total dud, you're in. And I didn't get in.
Failed.
Either one. They told me I couldn't get into $1 Million Mile because they already had a pale, bald white guy as one of the pros on there. I'm like, what? Did you get Killian? They're like, oh, you know him? I'm like, come on.
Wasn't Riker.
I'm
Did-
paler
Riker?
and more bald than him.
That was to
Nope.
be one of the what did they call the like
Chasers.
the
or-
chase? That was to be a chaser or to be. You should have been a participant. Took that.
Well,
cake.
they said I
Right.
couldn't be a participant because
Too nice.
they wanted. They said
They
you
didn't want
do this
money
for a
given
living.
away.
You can't be one of the people. Like the people that applied for being a participant, they capped it out at like that sub elite level. And at the time, I wasn't sub elite. I probably would be considered that now. I could probably get in now if they did it. But
Did anybody ever win any money? Like, did anybody ever do the thing on that show?
not
Yeah.
the million.
There was a female contestant who was actually at TMX. I recognized her, but she was more like in the ultra endurance field, and she won maybe 50 grand.
It was
Like a lot.
tiered.
Yeah, you had to do like what was it, 5 different stations, and
Yeah,
you could
you
like
got-
choose to like veer off if you wanted to like cash out or something.
Yeah,
I forget.
Yeah, you could move to the next one or stay. There's like a
always
safe
double or
zone.
nothing. Yeah,
Every time you left the safe zone, your money was gone. But you
Right.
get the bigger one. And if you stayed in it or tapped out, you got to keep what you had. So yeah, Robert Killian took my spot there.
Tough.
Unacceptable.
And then Broken Skull just wanted no part of me.
That's weird. Jack,
I
were
think
you on
it's
Broken
because-
Skull?
I was. Yeah,
Did you break some skulls?
I swore at Stone Cold. That was cool. So gotta do that. But yeah,
awesome.
I was on that, and I stupidly was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like inflate my weight just so that I end up, because they don't want the skinny people. So I like put that I was like 195 or something like that just to get on there. And then they had weight divisions that time, and I'm weighing like 178 or something.
goodness.
And so I get put in that episode, and then they come out with the grouping that was like 160 to 175 the following week. I'm like, what? It would have been like, I think Killian
Overthought
was
it.
on that one, and Victor Quesada, and like, yeah,
Gelati.
But
KG.
prior to that, they were only looking at like the giant people. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your interview like? Because for mine, you're on a Skype call and there's just this guy, like
Yep.
some intern. He was like 24 years old. He's like, all right, man, you've just been introduced. I'm one of your competitors. You need to shit talk me right now. And
Huh. That was
I
not what
took-
mine was like.
yeah, they're like, we need to know if you can trash talk or not. And
you
I
wanna-
did like a Dennis Miller approach to it. I just sat back and didn't do like masculine shit talk. I just like did the exact opposite of what they'd expect, kind of, I guess.
Oh, I
Just
figured you go
casual.
right to dick size. Be like, your dick is so small.
You were the only person that ever says that word on the show. You have some sort of fixation here, and that's fine. I get it.
Look, just because you don't say the word doesn't mean you're not thinking about
Them
the
all the
image
time.
constantly.
So it was weird.
Join
They
cross-country,
just had me
remember.
trash talk for like, it was like a 90 second, or like 60 seconds, like trash talk me for 60 seconds, go. And I just kind of like smirked and was sarcastic to him.
That's
and I
interesting.
didn't
No,
get
mine-
this spot.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
I don't mean to take this off the rails.
I had
real
some
quick.
woman from. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to be pivoting pretty hard here. So why don't you?
No, I was
Let's
just
hear it,
going to
Jack.
say, I remember
Let's hear
doing
trash talk.
No, I just remember having an interview with some woman. I think I had 2 or 3 of them. And basically they asked like, oh yeah, are you okay trash talking on camera? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, whatever. And then they're like, just say something. Or they'd be like, what would you do if someone, you ended up meeting Hunter or something, you saw his time? I'm like, I don't know, let's say something like you get lost out there. And she's like, good enough, and just moved on. I'm like, really? Like, okay, that's fine.
Bracken, you must have really
move on. And then they were like, you want to fly out on Monday? Yeah.
Man, they didn't like me.
No,
Like
it was like super simple. But,
I left that one.
Yeah, 195.
And did what I did for all three of these things. I went to Lisa and like, I'm in. And then after $1 Million Mile, we had such a great interview. I thought I got done. I told her, like, they don't want me for Chaser, but I think they're going to let me on the show. And I'm faster than I'm going to win $1 million. I never got a call back. Like, I left every one of these so sold that I was in, and I bombed every one of these interviews. I gave them whatever they wanted.
Frazier's going to know my name.
You can start to see this inflated sense of self throughout my history.
Takes a while. Kirk, what do you got for us?
Oh, I was just going to say, even at the very top, like high level production stuff, back in the Bachelorette days, they fly out the final 50 people they're considering for a 4-day casting weekend. You get stuck in a hotel room. You don't get to see anybody. You get escorted around by what they call handlers. And they run you through a process. You see like psychologists, lawyers to make sure you're not a liability. You do like a 6-hour psych eval. But the big final
STD testing,
very thorough.
Yeah.
Anyways, but the last big thing is like they fluff you up for this big thing, and they're like, okay, it's your final interview.
It's gotta be awkward.
It's your
Stop
not
it,
in that
BK.
way.
See, I told you.
Yeah. See, songs on the mind. Anyways, and so they bring you to this hotel, this room in the hotel. They have like one of the biggest hotels next to LAX, just kind of monopolized with all of us idiots, right? All us idiot contestants. And they bring you into this room and they sit you down on this chair, and there's a camera in front of you. And just one guy, like half on his phone, kind of not paying attention to you. He's like casually asking you, like, what do you think about love? And you're like, this is the lamest interview ever. Have you ever been in love? I'm like, God, this is horrible. Like, what? And then you're just sitting there, whatever. And he goes, okay, we're going to bring you into the next room. And they bring you into the next room. It's a joined room. And you walk into that room, and there are 100 people in this room, and your chair you're just sitting on is on a projection screen in there. And they've been watching you fidget the whole time to the dumb questions, seeing. And I sit down on one chair in the middle of this half circle, and they go, so Kirk, how many one-night stands have you had? First question out of their mouth.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you have the answer off the top of your head?
Right.
You're
Like,
like,
girls
oh.
or guys?
So, yeah.
Next person,
No
and I don't mean to be expletive, but they're like, how many people have you fucked? This is coming right away. And they just want to see you squirm. And they want to, and then they asked me like 3 more questions that made really no sense. They go, okay, thank you. And then I left, and I was like, I'm not going on
You're
the
like, nailed
Bachelorette.
it.
I am definitely not being picked. So even
what was the right? What number were you guys looking for? How'd I do?
at the very top, it's still that like ridiculous.
Wow.
And then I moved on, and then that was it. But the first question, how many one-night stands do you have? And then I gave an answer, and one of the girls was like, that's disgusting. And then one of the guys across the room was like, whatever, you're a slut. And then they started arguing amongst themselves, and I'm sitting there in this chair in the middle of the room as they're not even paying attention to me. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to go home now. That was it.
Like, I really want to be on this show.
This sounds like this is going to be a great time.
I'm saying yes.
So point being is at the very top, the high production is no different. It really is no different.
Yeah, but then you play your cards right, and eventually you have a pseudo country song written about you.
Right.
And there you
That's
are.
true. Yeah,
Kirk,
we'll put that as
one
the
question
outro.
for you. You mentioned the handlers. So whenever they've like taken people on for Broken Skull, for instance, whenever they take you from the airport, go to the venue and stuff like that, there is no talking. Everyone was in the same van, and like one guy tried just having like casual conversation, like, hey guys, how you doing? And they just didn't want us to have any info about anybody else and like to just dislike each other. So they kind of put that aura out there. Is that kind of the same for you ahead of time?
We weren't allowed to even see or meet them until day one.
Okay.
So no,
Yeah.
we could exactly. Yeah, they kept us apart. But
Yeah.
anyways, I was just getting at the whole production thing, like being left standing and not having any idea, and it's all the same, all across the board. It's the same crap.
I didn't have any of those questions asked of me.
Zero.
I'm hopeful.
Let me think.
I got high hopes.
Okay, token virgin guy, you're in.
Yeah,
100 of
he's
you.
one.
Anyone interested?
Let's move on.
All right, so we have some OCR stuff. It's a bit of a lull this week. We don't have a lot going on. It is the start of the age group national series. Is there a vernacular that I'm missing? Did they change that? That's one thing that they do change. They don't change the obstacles. They don't change the general process, but they'll change the naming of the series. Is it still? Are we calling it age
U.S.
group?
National Series.
U.S.
Second
National
year in a row.
Series. Okay. Okay. So that's kicking off. Does it feel weird, Kirk? You're a Jacksonville guy. Does it feel weird that this is not? Well, Jacksonville wasn't last year either, but usually this is like when the season kicks off. Or is it that time of year where you're kind of feeling like, oh yeah, it's like it's Spartan time?
Jacksonville always makes me feel that way. I might buy a ticket tomorrow. I don't know. So
go do that 3K.
I love Jacksonville. You see that they got heat waves down there. Jacksonville's under like a heat, like high temperature potentially records this weekend, like highs in the upper 80s to almost 90.
Whoa.
It's been dry all week. It's like
February.
65 or 70 at race start in the morning. It's going to be like, if you're a morning waver, great. Like if you're running a leader age group early, but it's like excessive like heat for this time of year. There might be records set this weekend and there has been no rain. So it's going to be a very different course than normal.
Oh man.
If I had to run 1,000-meter time trial, rest for like 30 minutes and do it again, and then rest for 30 minutes and run 3K, I would want it just to be hot, as hot as it possibly, and just no shade, just sit and bake in between each one of these all-out efforts. That sounds like a good time for nobody.
I mean, I don't really know anything about this, and I don't think they're being very public about anything. I don't really know what you guys know about the 3K like sampling.
Oh, look
preview.
at that smirk.
Jack's got something?
Yeah, he had a little lip twitch going.
What do you got for us, Jack? You don't know anything?
Oh, me?
I've got nothing. I just know that they're doing a time trial, and I think like the top 2 or 3 or something get some prize. I don't know if it's like free races or a season pass or something like that, but they're just testing it out, and you can sign up for it.
They're like how Bracken laid out the 1K, 3K, or is it just like
maybe
1, 3K?
Genuinely do not know.
You're lying.
Don't know yet. I'm not.
Keeps it tight. Are you still?
They should do the 1K just to get the growing pains out of the way. But sorry, what?
Are you like in there still? Like, is the Bauer system? Like, are you in communication, or are they just are they done with you?
No, I'm still an integral part for certain.
Oh, you're in there.
Slow on the communication right now. Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep into
this. This is men's health fading Bracken all over again. Just you're experiencing it now, Jack.
Yeah. I don't want to get too into this, and I know you can't talk much about it, but are they still actively working on pulling off this 3K series? Are they taking steps towards it, or is it let's see what happens in Jacksonville and then we're going to start taking action towards pulling this series off?
Good question.
Yeah, genuinely don't know. All that I know is that they're putting Jacksonville on to get info. So they probably have their plans and stuff already for Palm Beach, but they're going to use this info, I'm sure, to like be like, oh, maybe we need to space this out a few more minutes or something.
Is it pretty clear that the reason they decided to just let anybody go race and try it for free is because nobody signed up? So they realized, oh my God, we have 4 people that paid and signed up for the 3K on Friday. We don't even have a test subject study. So let's just say it's free now. So we actually get some bodies. I assume that's what happened, right?
Oh, it's free now. I didn't realize that because they were charging.
I think that was the problem. They were charging. So nobody was registering.
Yep.
They were charging more than I paid for my first Spartan Super. Now, inflation and COVID and whatnot.
Aliens. It was the right move, though.
Yeah.
For
totally.
Sure. Aliens.
But when they're trying to make money, they're going to try to do it any way that they can.
You generally don't charge people a lot.
We're going to have a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wonder if we can catch any glimpses of it. But we have the age group series throwing down. So I pulled up let's look at the schedule here. Last year we did
who cares what year you pull up? It's the same one every year.
Is it the exact same? Was it the same as
Yeah. They have continued the baffling trend of the people who work all real jobs and support their sport to put them on Sunday races so that they have to really screw up their work plans and their travel plans. So again, they kick off on a Sunday.
Well, it's like you either take a Friday off or a Monday off.
I think the first 2 are Sundays.
They're doing this. Okay. So last year, I guess that's how I guess you're right. That's how Jacksonville always is, right? It's usually super. And the Big Bear is the same. Is that a trifecta weekend?
I think it's Beast and then Super, because the 3K is
Big
on
Bear
Friday.
is going to have the 3K though, so this will be a double
That's a
weekend
Friday.
for people. Yeah.
So just to run through it, we got Jacksonville Sprint, Big Bear Super on May 21st, Utah Super July 9th, West Virginia Beast on August 26th, and Slow Beast on November 4th. Is that the same, the Slow Beast?
No,
I don't think that finished it last year.
That was a Super to kick it off
had it
for
in
the elites.
It was,
Elite
yeah, it was
Series.
it was a beast for the age group last year to kick off. They opened them with a beast in San Luis Obispo.
That's right.
Or their second race of the series was
It was
San
the day
Luis
before,
which
Obispo.
was
the elite-
crazy because it was in March. Yeah.
Right.
That was
Best thing on this entire schedule is West Virginia.
always.
That is a
Best
solid move to have that on this calendar.
Yep.
It's the best mountain course that exists.
Typical weekend, last one in August. Yep.
So, okay, I actually like the sequencing of this better.
It's
Last year
repetitive.
it is a little repetitive for sure, but the sequencing is better than last year because it was the sprint in February. This is a huge gap.
Yeah.
February to May makes 0 sense, but last year it was February to March, sprint to Beast. So I remember people who were preparing for that. It was like, let's hope either the sprint or the Beast goes well, and we'll prepare for one or the other. But it was like way too close to have those two. And then super brutal. And then where did it end last year? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. It was in Carolina. That's what it was.
Was Asheville their
With
finisher?
a sprint, right? Or is it a Super?
It may have been the sprint. Yeah, that was their
I think it was
finisher.
a super.
Mhm.
And last year we were still
Okay.
kind of figuring things out with the schedule, or maybe not. It was the first real year that Spartan was back.
It's one of those situations where I am very glad that they're giving something to chase for the age groupers, which is by far and away the most stacked segment of Spartan. And I think it's great. I did get so I think it's fantastic. Whatever. If the order's not perfect, or the logistics are it's February to November. That's not ideal, but nonetheless, at least you get something bigger to work towards. I think that's huge for me. It would be if I were an age group athlete. I do have one of my athletes who won her age group in the national series last year, Darla O'Connor, who wiped the floor with everybody.
Took it down.
She problem was they were promised, getting things for winning your age group. Remember the big, we're going to give away 200,000 in non-cash prizes or whatever the heck it was. Well, those promises weren't always delivered on. And she had an example of one of those things where she got a free season pass or a free trifecta pass, but there was this other
Trifecta pass.
I think a trifecta pass, but the other prize or whatever it was promised in her bag, and one of these things was like a $300, I forget, was just like everything else was just sort of like not given to her. So all she's got is her pass, which, she spent exponentially more chasing the series than what those race values are. But it wasn't followed through with what they were going to give her, point being. And she was one of the series winners. So I'm a little worried that could happen again. I've heard a couple stories like that where you're just not given what you were told you were given. So I hope that's cleared up. But other than that, I like the series exists.
It's tough because if they hadn't promised anything, or they said you'll receive something at the end of the year and you got a trifecta pass, people would have been jacked for that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? I got a trifecta pass? Fantastic. But when other things were promised and all you got was the trifecta, suddenly it felt like another middle finger, like the year before when they just stopped giving trophies or whatever to age group for the winners and all that stuff. So it was another overpromise, underdeliver, which sucks.
That's their MO. It should be obviously flipped. Under promise, over deliver. Spartan's like, nah, we got this. We're awesome. All right, trivia. How many passes are available to purchase through Spartan now?
5.
Name them.
Unbreakable plus. Are there 2 unbreakable passes?
I honestly don't have the answer. So, so like, whatever you say, maybe.
Trifecta, season pass, and then there's got to be something on Spartan Plus, or
What's unbreakable?
maybe there's
plus?
only 4. Maybe there's not. I don't know the answer. I was just trying to be the first person to say anything.
Jack, what's the answer? Unmute yourself.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm on all passes. So they've got trifecta for 359, 3 races, 3 distances, 1 year. Season 2023 for the US, Unbreakable, which is everything. And then it says gift card. So that is no real difference.
So maybe just 2?
Okay, so you can basically buy a 3 is what it's looking like. Season pass, trifecta pass, and Unbreakable. That's what it's looking like.
Jack, who was the guy in OCR World Championships who worked you in Spartan in OCR trivia? Because we'll have to get him. Then we'll have to ask him.
Oh yeah. Who was it? James Burton or
classic that you can't remember the name of the person who beat you at remembering things.
Impossible.
Oh, that's perfect.
I said he's from the UK. He beat me in UK trivia at OCR Worlds when we tied. Yeah. Tiebreaker.
So we got a best 3 out of 5, and that was what it was last year as well.
Is it 3 out of 5? Are you sure?
I
thought it was 4 this go around.
3 out of 5.
I think it's 3 out of 5.
Okay,
but I think for the North American Elite 3K series, it's 5 out of 6. Or 4 out of 5.
Maybe
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Don't let them tell you you're anything other than beautiful.
Exactly, Bracken. Yep.
Jack, I clicked on the scoring criteria here, and it took me to a broken page. I'm guessing this was your job to put this page together. Why is this not working?
Yeah. No, trust me. I would change things on the Spartan website if I was in charge. I've got a question.
Careful.
For you. Yeah.
I think KG still does some of that stuff.
I'm aware. Yeah.
You're downrange right now, Jack.
Yeah.
From an athlete standpoint,
that's actually
you guys,
a valid point.
And people that you know, do you see the same, more or less, apparently attending the series races this year? What do you think?
In my small bubble, this is the year of people trying ultras and mountain racing and high rocks and DECA. And some people are coming back after taking a year off or 2. But I have more people who have branched out than who have remained true. But again, that's a small sample size of just people I work with or talk to.
What do we think the prospects of the 3K series could do to the age group series? Because if they're going to need 45 people in each of these races, that's a lot. There's going to be a lot of these age group athletes who did well last year who probably should take a step up anyway, or even some who may be a little bit more obstacle proficient, maybe some that are faster than others, maybe not good at mountain races. Do you think that is going to take away from it, or do you think they'll just be hand in hand and like it's not going to matter as much?
I think that a lot of people were curious about the age group. So I have less athletes as well doing it. If I have all my athletes and let's say, half of them are doing the series, maybe a third are doing the series this year. They all still were on board with me, right? They're all like, I'd say it's cut notably, but they're also pursuing other things. But what I think happened in so much like yours, Bracken, or they're just picking iconic venues and races that they want to go run that excites them because they've done all of these places so many times. But I think a lot of age groupers scratched the itch last year. They got their series. It was a successful series. People showed up in droves. It was fantastic. Most of my people are going like hybrid. Like a third of my people are hybrid now. Like they want to go explore that space and they're pumped about it. But I think a lot of people scratched the itch last year and a few of them are like, okay, I did that. And now I want to pursue something else. That's why I think our athletes are a little bit lower this year, but maybe as a grand scheme of things, it's not, I don't know, but
that's a good question about will 3K cannibalize the top of age group? And I'm not sure because I could say yes, like Bruce Jackson, Colderosa, they probably belong in the 3K because they're top 45 in North America.
Totally.
Absolutely. Who else would be in there? You'd have
Calypso Sheridan.
Yeah. All these people would be up there, but how many of them care to run a 3K course? I just don't. I don't think most of them care about if they can't beat the pros, but I think most of them care about being out on course with their cadre and running these big, longer events. They've spent their 30s and 40s working on that ability. I don't think most of them care about a 3K. I think Cole would race anything you put in front of them, but I don't think most of them have that desire to do the 3K more than once or twice. I don't think they would chase a series, but maybe I shouldn't speak for them.
Go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say, I think actually kind of the opposite. If you look at who the people who are collecting all their trifectas and running everything, doubling every single time that they're on the course, it's age groupers compared to elite in general. So I think especially at an event like Big Bear, where you're already there, you're going to be running the super on Saturday or Sunday, and then Friday there's a 3K, you've got a day between. You're going to have a lot of people be like, I'm there, I'm doing it. And now you've got one event done, you have 4 more races. You're like, well, I missed Palm Beach, but I do have 1 of 4 left. And if I go to the rest of these, some cool new venues, I've never been to Canada, never been to Palmerton or Mexico. Like, you might see some people a little intrigued, but I think the actual opposite will probably happen in terms of you're saying, will the 3K appeal to people? I think you'll see some traditional higher end or back of the pack elite people heading towards the age group series because they want to run those beast supers and sprints instead of a 3K.
So it might be better, when people are more competitive. Interesting.
That's when people are going to get mad, because remember Killian ran age group once, and like there was
Never
people were up in arms. And
I mean, Killian is a world champion and someone who got 20th at Utah's super.
It's true, but like I've got the results, and there are like dozens of people besides Killian who have elite podiums who have also run age group at various points in their life.
Elite podium's not what it was.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
in the old days.
he got the brunt of it, but there are a lot of other people who that's happened to. My point is, how will it look from like an optics point of view? If you start seeing, let's say Tyler Veerman is like, I really want to run West Virginia. I'm going to do that. And then he takes a podium spot from someone. Like, how's that going to look?
Aren't there elite offerings there though?
Yeah, that'd be absurd.
Well, what if there isn't? I don't know.
And he's open.
I agree that maybe some people want to do it. I think 2 things though. First is that you're going to have to choose which series. Unless you have unlimited funds, there's only one crossover in events, in event locations between the 2 series. And since you'd have to do 4 of the 5 3K races to be in the series, you would have to travel a minimum of 6 times to be able to do both series. And that's if you double up Big Bear series weekends. So it's kind of like, if the top age group people want to do it, they almost have to leave the age group series, unless again, they're super well off or don't mind paying 10 to 20 grand and travel extra. And then the second thing is, I think right now, the back of the elites, a lot of them are better ball sport athletes than some of the top elites. And they have this, I think I'm going to be better at 3K than I would be against these people at a beast. And they're licking their chops. And I think a lot's going to change after the first race. The very first time a bunch of these people come in with high hopes, we see it happen all the time. There's very little climbing. Like, you don't climb from 40th to 5th. It just, maybe there might be an exception to this, but I think a lot of hopes are going to be dashed the very first time when it's still VJ and Rylan and Atkins, and they smash everyone, and everyone realizes it doesn't matter if it's 3 hours or 3 minutes, the same people are going to win.
So do you
Women's
think
field will get shaken up?
Do you think a ball sport athlete can shoot a laser pistol better than a non-ball sport athlete? Pew!
Could you see a Kevin Gelati moving up since he gets the opportunity to shoot?
Ooh. He likes to own the spear.
So if you take a look at that, it's a 20-second time period? Is that accurate? Is that what the rule book says? You have like 20 seconds to hit 3 shots.
You get 3. Do you get 3 shots, or do you have like unlimited?
You have unlimited shots to hit, but the only penalty is running out of time. So if you don't hit it, your penalty is the time between when you would have hit your third and when time runs out. And I thought it was 20 seconds. So the maximum penalty is like 15.
There's no loop.
There's no loop. Good question.
No,
Kirk.
no. The penalty is, as far as right now, the way I read it last. I think on Zendesk, there's some information about it. So maybe Jack will be looking this up as we speak, but the penalty is just the time it takes to complete the shots. So if you go 3 for 3 or 5 for 5, you're out. And the penalty is completing your time out there. And then you go. So you're looking at 15 seconds of penalty. That's not enough time to bring a great shooter up to great running ability, in my opinion. Now,
I'm
3 laps of
accurate.
it, if there's 3 laps, now that's 45 seconds. Can someone move up a few spots because of that? Absolutely. but now you're running harder, and are you still a good shooter under pressure? And I don't know. Does anyone have a history of laser pistols here?
Not me.
Nope.
Did you guys look up what they cost?
I did not.
Several $100s.
Cheapest all-in I saw was like $480, but you're looking at $700 to $900.
That's about the same as the Spartan foam for the spear practice. So
no one buys that.
Kirk buys them,
but not for spearing.
Nah, semi-spear.
Do you think in this regard, I guess we were supposed to talk about age group, and we've been now just shoved right into
kind of
this
the
3K
same.
right away.
Kind of the same.
Is it
kind of the same?
Yeah, because
you know how they
get
get
in it.
You know how like TMX the first year, got gimmicky, and they're like, here's a Muay Thai wrestler, and here's a Harlem Globetrotter, and let's pit everybody against.
They were in my
everybody.
heat, and I busted that ass.
That's right, you did. Would
Not by a lot.
there be any sector that would make sense with, like Spartan used to try to get a few high-end runners to come out and really seek them? Is there
Just
any
pentathlon.
place?
Think they'll bring out some pentathletes?
I don't know, any place for that, like to get new eyes on it? You think they're like going to try to get gimmicky, or do you think there's just like we're not going to see anybody from any new avenue come out? We're just watching the same people race a different race. Is that what it's going to end up being? I mean, most likely yes, but I don't know. Jack's apparently in
At
the
this
know.
point, I think that the athletes would be kind of mad if a Harlem Globetrotter gets in and you're like one of those top 45 or you're
You
number
think
46.
Spartan cares about the athletes, Jack?
I don't know.
What are you saying?
I'm looking at it from the athlete's perspective.
I think you were right on pentathlon. They're the only runners I know of that have tried obstacles.
Right, and can shoot those pistols.
They can.
Do you
shoot
know
the
anything
pistols.
about pentathlon like competition? Do you think that they're looking up on Spartan.com because they know that there's going to be a laser? Like, I don't know if there's as much awareness.
I know they're running 5-minute to 5:20 pace on grass in between their runs.
They would probably
I'm
get
aware they're
recruited.
good
Probably
at-
not like
they're good at this.
sick. It'd probably be like the connection between the organizations being like, hey, would you come to this race? We'll pay for everything.
Mhm.
The tricky piece is that anyone good enough at obstacles to be a threat from an outside source, like Ninja Warrior or anything like that, anyone good enough to be at obstacles cannot run 3,000 meters fast.
Island Ninja will definitely be there.
He'll be there.
He'll definitely be there.
And anyone who can
He'll be going
run
a
fast
1,000
enough
rounds.
is going to get punched in the face by Twister and Rig and Hoist and double sandbag carry or whatever it is. Like there's too much of both end. 3K is still long. We all know that.
Mhm.
These obstacles by Spartan standards are not tough, but if you've never done the sport before, they're impossible to do while running fast. So someone's going to have to be willing to do what Ryan Woods did and come out and take like 4 to 6 beatings and then be dominant. Who's going to come over and do that? That's the big question. I don't think it's where do you source them from. It's who's willing to stick it out when they don't do anything well for like at least 3 or 4 races.
Well, if you said 3 or 4 races, that's the whole year of being
Right. So
willing
you
to
gotta,
take your lumps.
you're going to have to give up the series and hopefully be ready for Abu Dhabi. I think that's best case scenario
Yeah.
for someone who comes over, and then rely on Spartan's going to allow you to be one of the however many people are in world championships. You're giving up season 1 to be ready for season 2. So who is a candidate for sticking around for that long?
Do you think we'll have a bigger? We're talking about 3K still, right?
Well, the 3K
the-
is this weekend, the trial event. So that's
Sure.
kind of how we got on it.
What about the international athletes? Right? Like, do you think we'll see more of the Mexican athletes who busted that ass in the super, but they're faster runners, can do the obstacles,
Or beast.
double carries? Will probably be tough. They seem a bit slighter than the American OCR athletes, but we could see people like that coming through.
Yeah.
You got to think a lot
Well,
of the
speaking-
Europeans are licking their chops at this format big
Yeah.
time comparatively. That's the style they're already accustomed to, just a shorter distance in some of their offerings. So I
Less
can see that.
technical obstacles.
Thomas
Yeah.
Van Tonder and people like that who maybe weren't ever
Leon.
quite the runners of the Albins
Leon,
and the
yeah.
Hyneks. Those people are all in it suddenly. I think that we'll see the biggest disparity between the North American Series and the World Championship potential that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think we
So-
finally could say that on an equivalent course, North America or Europe, the Europeans could come in and smoke people. I think.
So speaking of international and the 3K, they actually had the first Elite Series race for the 3K in the Philippines a week or two ago, or I think this past weekend. And it was exactly who you'd think would win if you know the names over there. Elias Tabak, he was right around 15th through 20th in Abu Dhabi last year in the Super, and then like the few guys behind him ended up same deal. They're like just a shade behind him typically in races, and then on the women's side, Sandy Abehan.
What were the winning times?
Yeah,
to interrupt.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Okay,
but yeah, I was
You're doing such a good job today.
Sorry. Oh yeah, you too.
Yeah, but I was going to say the best woman over in the Philippines was the racer who won the 3K as well. What do you guys think? How long do you think it took?
Does it have the
3K
3K and
women?
1K splits on there, or just the 3K?
It only says 3K leg.
Duh, I knew that answer.
On their graphic. They might be on
minutes
the official results.
I was gonna say 28-2.
I'm taking the over. I'm going
22
25.
for Kurt Bracken. What'd you say?
23:44.
25-10.
The women's race was actually won in 23:42. So
That's what I thought we were talking about. You left off talking about the women.
yeah.
Not true.
Yeah, well, we still lost Price is Right rules. And then the men 2026, and then
1 second.
Top 4 all under 21:47. So
20 minutes.
The sprint I ran in SoCal took me like 21 minutes. Not that much different, really.
Yeah.
It's like really, it's like you're training for a sprint, but just a little more grip burn, right?
Yeah, it's basically, what would it be, 2K difference time wise, just filled out with obstacles and carries.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Probably running slower.
That's wild to me.
Probably running. Oh, for sure, running slower.
In the sprint.
No, in the 3K.
What? You think so?
Oh, your mod is just going to keep taking a hit. You
would imagine the terrain isn't going to be as gnarly though. Like it's probably going to be fairly.
You're going to spend 50% of your time revving up and slowing down for obstacles.
I think it's going to be a very unimpressive thing to watch from a speed standpoint.
As always.
But even more so.
Even more. We're going to take your born and we're going to make it slower.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
You ever see someone just ram a double carry down your throat? You're going to watch it.
I think best case scenario, you're running like threshold pace. Let's say my threshold pace is like 540, 530. I think best case scenario, you're seeing that. Whereas in a super, I can run faster than threshold pace for a majority of that or effort when I get a chance, right? I think it's going to be like
although you're high if you think your threshold is 530, 540 right now.
545. Hell yeah, it is. Or you think it's slower, faster?
It's faster.
I think you could run 520 for an hour in your sleep right now.
Maybe I could. I don't know. Whatever. You get my point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be humble over here.
No.
Not on this episode. Not on this podcast.
We see the fake.
So we save that for TRP.
Do you guys think? Make a prediction. Knee-jerk reaction. Do you think more? Jack's
hold on. Jack's got something. Let's give Jack. Jack's got something to add on. What you got?
Yeah, I was like, I've got cut off like 6 times. I'm not even going to add.
We're sending you.
You're 5 seconds behind us.
You're 3 to 5 seconds in the.
Check your mailbox. We got your letter.
I can't.
Doesn't mean it's right.
Have we ever discussed how acidic your soil is?
I'm plugged into the Ethernet.
You need to make it a little bit more basic. Add some like eggshells.
I paid for the 200 megabits plan. And it doesn't seem to matter, even if I'm plugged in. So
you better get on that horn and be like, "Hey, get somebody out here."
What's internet speed test say for you for your down and your up?
I don't know. I'll get back to you in an hour when it gives me the results. So
slow. That's acidic soil. I know.
That sounds pretty acidic.
That's pretty acidic.
Let me name this off real quick. So in the 3K for the men's race, Elias Tabak, he did like the Southeast Asia games. So he's used to the 100-meter, really good at short course obstacles, same as Jeffrey Reginio, who got third. I know that both of them went sub 9 in a 3K in the past year, and it took them 2026. So you're looking at basically more than twice duration of your 3K. Just if we're going to try to figure out like what the running is versus the obstacles at that point.
Sub 9 in a 3K on the track?
Yeah.
Was there wave light?
Virginia was a 150 flat guy. He's a stud.
So we might not see times very different in the US. I mean, the running acumen over there is high. Yeah.
So I don't know how, if this was on a very runnable course versus bushwhacking or sending you up a hill a couple times, that's going to slow things down. But assuming it was a pretty neutral course, like probably double your 3K time and then add a minute or two.
I don't want to be pedantic about this, but how far sub 9 are we talking? Are we talking 8:59 or like 8:15?
Oh, well, if he's a 150 flat guy in the past 5 years, he's probably
if he's anything like maybe
I almost ran 150 and I ran 1640.
A 2 to 7 minute window.
Over 7 minutes.
That's fine. Yeah. He's probably in the 840s, 850s. Okay. Regardless, I was just mainly pointing that out just to show like they do have strong runners over there, and it still took them over 20 minutes.
Which I like. That's a good. That's not what I was going to say, but I like that. I mean, that's satisfying to me to know we have a 20-minute race on our hands, because I see, like, the question I was going to ask is, when you think about like the main players, at least we know over here, we going to see more of them, or are we going to see less of them? Like the familiar faces show up at these events this year. I think you're going to see notably less. I think guys like an Atkins, for example, might go, you know what? Nah. My time's better spent elsewhere. Half of these people who are good in this sport, they chase their adventure and their stoke and their times in the mountains, and they really want to be rewarded for that time on feet. And the juice isn't worth the squeeze for a lot of people who just thrive on the lifestyle that the old Spartan required. And I'm one of them. Like now I want to like go get my time in and enjoy all this hard work I put in over a decade to make my endurance better. And now you're asking me to go race for 20 minutes or less. Like, I think the appeal versus cost versus benefit, I think there's going to be less of the typical face is what I'm getting at. And I was curious your thoughts on that, everybody.
Let's go down from the top and just see yes or no. Who do you think? So Lindsay, think that answer, she's interested in this?
We don't know what the prize payouts are yet.
That's true.
Okay.
All I know is this.
We'll assume they're good, I guess. If you assume the payouts are good.
Like, we can assume that's the same as the series, which was $3K for every win. And then what, like 15, 12 or 12 or for the series?
Ryland's going to race anything you put in front of him. 100%. He's already shown that. VJ's all in on this.
Definitely.
Right? Atkins he's run more of these than anyone else has run, and he has smoked everyone. If you had to build a list of who could challenge him.
But he's been able to race a 15K and a team race in the same weekend, and he gets to go get a lot of fun in his eyes. I don't know.
So Spartan Games, he's done this twice, and he beat Hunter, he beat Kent, he beat VJ,
Aaron,
and no one's been even close to him. So why wouldn't he say, I can do this off any style of training I want. I'm just going to keep doing what I like to do. I'll come down and I'll win this easy, and then I'll go run a fun beast the day after in Big Bear or whatever. I think that the people who are really good are going to come down and take their money. At least that's what I would say. Lindsay might not care at all, but I would be shocked if Ryan doesn't come down and just say, no one's been within like 2 minutes of me on this course, or a minute. Just give me some free money. I'll give me a world championship. I'll take it. I don't think it'll be as easy as Spartan Games was for him, but I think in his mind, I've seen the best this world can throw at me, and I smoked them. But Veerman,
so
those type of athletes, no, I don't think they'll come down. He should. He'd be awesome at it, but he didn't come down for Altitude Beast last year. Why is he going to come down for a 3K? I think you're dead on those kind of people, the people who love just playing in the mountains.
What about Go Ruck, Jack?
Yeah. So one thing that I was going to point out, Go Ruck Games is the same weekend, different part of Florida. And I think the schedule of events, you have like the mandatory athlete briefing on Friday. I think you're going to see some contenders or people who might want to do the series, especially since we don't know how much Spartan's paying at this point. I think you're going to see some people be like, I'm just doing Go Ruck Games instead, because bigger potential to make money. And it's a new type of thing. Granted, the 3K is new. And I know that a lot of people have been complaining for years that they just want something new. And we went over the age group series, how it's the same venues as has been in the past. 3K is new, whether you like the distance or not. It's something different. So I think you'll see some interest there, but I do think you'll see a little bit of a drop off at least at the first race because of Go Ruck Games. And now you're like, yeah. But also like then you're committing yourself to 4 races and 2 of them are outside the US if you're not a US athlete. So you're putting yourself in a bind if you decide to skip that first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want an invite, the first one's going to be the one to get the invite too. Like if you're on the edge kind of guy, like I may not get in, I don't know. The fact that a bunch of people are going to do Go Ruck means that there are going to be at least like 6 or 7 open spots that shouldn't be open. Get in, get your name in the Rolodex on that one. That first one you want to be at.
Am I the one who thinks when you think of this race, I just think like this is going to be the most painful race that we've been forced to run in OCR, traditional OCR, that I can think of, with the exposure to carries so many times. Like you can talk about OCR World Champ 3K, of course, that's an insanely painful race. I have to imagine that this is going to be absolutely horrible. I think some people who just don't quite know enough, the ones who are considering it, are thinking like, oh, it's 20 minutes. Like I can go and handle that. And you're going to be 7 minutes in and realize you hate everything about what you're doing because it's turned you inside out and you still are only a third done. I think it's going to be absolutely torturous on the pain scale.
Yeah.
If you're going to perform well.
Yeah. Which feels worse, like the 15-15 challenge or 15-minute road time trial? Like 15-15, it's the same duration. Yeah, they both suck, but I'm saying like once you throw a little bit of a variance into it, then suddenly it sucks even more. So maybe
I think a 20-minute road race would still be worse than this.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
You're going to be going so slow. You're going to get up to those sandbags on the second time and be like, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to take my time picking these up.
People talk about type 2 fun. I think there's type 3 fun as well, where it's short and spicy. Like type 2 is ultra and big grindy stuff, but like CrossFit workouts and DECA strong, this is that type where there is no enjoying it during. You never sit in your misery and like, man, we're out here doing this.
Good idea.
This is so terrible and I'm loving every moment. This isn't. Type 3 fun is 0 seconds of enjoyment. It's just hate your life the whole time and be better at handling that than other people. Yeah, this is going to reward people who can do DECA, who can do
100%
work under like slowish, fast work when you're smashed, but you only have a short amount of time to fit it all in. It's a weird combination. The running won't be fast, but it's going to be intense the whole time.
Count me in.
Rich, you remember how you felt during TMX when I don't think you made the time cutoff that day, either did I. Like how awful that was. Though. How awful that was when that came down on you and you're only like 8 minutes in and you're like, oh my God, yeah. I'm at capacity and the things that are required of me ahead are going to force me to go back to capacity just to get through it. And I'm already maxed out. Like I think you're going to get that sort of feeling.
Initially,
turquoise isn't that heavy until you did it 3 times after coming through everything else.
Your grip doesn't work.
Well, the issue, TMX was 20-minute time cap, right? And if you got under that, basically anybody who finished qualified through in the first year anyway. But it was more of a pacing issue. I'm sorry.
I think I'm just like the PSA of like, hey, if you're planning on doing this, plan for it to absolutely be miserable.
And it's going to be a pacing thing.
Do you want to know what
TMX, like hitting it too hard, too quick? I think that will definitely happen in this 3K.
Oh yeah,
and everyone
can't hit it too hard, too quick.
Yeah,
can't do that. No.
Do you want to know what I think is actually going to help raise the performance? We were sort of talking about it before we went on the air. How a lot of people are switching their focus towards hybrid events, DECA and High Rocks. I think that if they decide to hop into one of these 3Ks, it's just only going to help them because working on the compromise a little bit more than just the straight running for several minutes in a row like you'd see in an OCR race.
I agree with that, but I don't think people are aware at how smashed their forearms are going to be because they've done all these obstacles and they're fine with it. But Ryan Kent came out of his first Spartan Games. He's like, my arms were smashed by that 3K. 3 hoists, 3 twisters, 3 rigs, 3 rope climbs, heavy carry, monkey bars 3 times. You do all of these things. And the second time through, I think a whole lot of people are going to say, I've always been good at obstacles. And I'm suddenly in a place where I haven't been at in a long time. And that's going to be scary. So if there was my PSA for the people, it would be whatever you think is adequate for grip and grip endurance on this, you got to double it. Because I don't think you're as ready as you think you are for this. The hybrid fitness will help, but it does not get your forearms ready for what's going to be required of you here.
Bracken, it's 5 times actually, because you're going to need to make it through 2 1,000 rounds. So
Probably gonna
not
bust
just
up your
3.
hands quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that first lap's
Definitely
going to feel
potential for that.
easy. So people are going to be doing stuff and trying stuff and being explosive. And then you're going to realize, oh no. Uh-oh.
That's such a bummer. Like these events, like these big time fitness events coming down to like one of the smallest muscles in like your entire body. It's like, oh,
So true.
cool. Can't do anymore. Everything else is good to go, but my little hands can't do it.
That's kind of not wrong.
What else? What else about this?
Age group.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting to see how that, like these two, because I think it is going to definitely kind of go back and forth and kind of cannibalize it. So do we think, I think Jack's right on the age group being a little bit more competitive though.
I
think
will.
that we will see it. You're going to be
If
an
I
age
go to
group.
Big Bear to
You're
do
doing
a
age group.
3K, I'm going to run the beast.
Yeah.
It may not even be racing it, but you're at what?
It's a super. You're going
Or
to pop in that
super, whatever.
super, bust some skulls.
Kirk and I aren't even allowed on our ski hills until ski season's done, which means we don't have hills until March or April. So if we're out here at a mountain, how am I not going to run the mountain? So I'm going to do it, and they're not going to let you out on the course without a timing chip. So
You're
even
gonna
if like,
pay $200 extra to do it.
well, when I
Jack,
win the
can you get
3K,
in
I'm
there?
sure they'll just put me in.
Slide you in there. They want you in that race.
Like I know Robert Coble, guys. See my
Is there,
sweatshirt?
okay? Is there an elite offering at those weekends
So
though?
you're-
For real? I mean, that's the thing.
I
Like,
would
there's-
imagine.
There's got to be, right? Just to make sure we're not like
look it
Elite
up.
with no
mouth.
prize money is
That's-
currently how
That's
the first couple
all.
look.
That's all
All,
races
yes.
this year.
Yeah, but there had been talk there's no elite. Now I think Big Bear I checked there's elite, but yeah, still no prize. But
Okay.
whatever, if they don't have it, I'm still gonna run it. Which means then I'm in whatever wave they offer. And
You
if
go
I
Jack
don't
Bauer
want to
style and
get
just
up,
bandit the thing.
if after a race night on Friday, I don't want to get up at 6 a.m., I may not run the elite race. I may get there at whenever I get there and I'm running the age group.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the response to that.
I might dip off the course before the finish
7:30
line.
a.m. elite for the super.
7:30, yeah.
7:45.
So there is elite, is what Jack's trying to say.
Hmm.
There
He gone.
44 spots left. Oh no, just at that price. Don't know. Let's do it. When is that? Where are we going? We gotta
Palm
go.
Beach.
Who's really racing to make money anymore? But I mean, other than Rich, who I think is still trying to put some money in his bank account.
For like the
but-
first time ever. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not really like. It's weird that the possibility of making some money it seems alluring, and I can justify spending $1,500 to go race for the weekend when I know I'm going to win like 900 at best. Like, why is that any different than just like randomly going to Jacksonville or Big Bear to go race and not get paid? Like, that's kind of what we've been doing our whole careers. It's like, who
I think
cares?
it'll be better.
It's not the competition.
We can go out for just a group of buddies on Saturday and go run the course. Get your long run in together.
Actually have fun at a Spartan race seems
What?
crazy.
How much fun would that be though? If like
It would
we
be
all
fun.
go down to Palm Beach and the next day we just run a super. That'd be a blast.
Is that where we're
That'll be
going?
good.
Until I get dropped.
I'll do Palm Beach.
I had about as much fun I had racing knowing there was no gain a couple weeks ago in SoCal. Like, I mean, it wasn't with all my buddies, would have been even better. But really, it made it truly just fun, which I hadn't felt in a while. So maybe that is the case.
Jack, can you get?
I mean, we're all
race
gonna
brain
need-
in.
Yes, Jack. What can we do to get everybody
need
in?
the mod T-shirts. I'll see what I can do. But I think we're gonna need those
Singlets.
mod singlets.
You're not allowed to
Sorry.
wear it
Yeah.
if you call it a T-shirt.
There will be no T. It will be like
Singlet.
an A, like an A
Only
shirt.
Respect the mod.
Yes.
I have 3.
I haven't seen one yet. So I'm confused.
I have 3. So
I have one, and in the
maybe
first
we'll get you a T-shirt.
in the first race where I ever had an apparel sponsor, I broke the contract right away.
Or Nike.
I was like,
That
"That's cool.
10,000 is looking good on you today. That's a nice looking hoodie.
Thank you. I got to wear it all the time, no matter whenever on camera, no matter what. Just got to like right there.
My last big breakthrough opportunity that crashed down is I thought, listen, my partner just got a big deal. They're handing out everyone around me. Dylan's getting stuff. You're getting stuff. David's getting stuff. I won with you, despite you, and they're gonna come calling. They didn't
It's
come
only a
calling.
matter of time. Never know. 2024 season.
Bracken, at the peak of your stardom, how many sponsors did you have? Paid sponsors.
They're very rarely concurrent.
Okay.
Paid, probably
In
3.
1 year. In 1 year, how many different paid sponsors would you have had at one time? Because
The
I think Rich,
most
you're
I
at
had
2,
in a
right?
year
You're
was-
power lifting 10,000, so you're doing pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the best ever for me. By the
That
way.
very
3, I'd
flavor.
say.
That's good.
But those 3 never added up to the one Spartan / Reebok I had for the first 5 years or whatever. So the one was always better for me.
Big Spartan had you under their thumb.
Yeah, little
You're-
RBK deal in there.
You're the reason this all happened. You just got you guys in the beginning just being
Yep.
greedy, taking these deals.
Ruined it for all of us.
Negotiating signing bonuses, unlimited flight plan. We milked that thing, and you got
I got that.
tragedy of the commons is what it was.
Got a T-shirt and a headband.
Nice.
Man, we did not deserve it, and yet we deserved it all.
Kirk, you've had a couple different food specialty items all at one time, right?
Yeah.
Had chicken chips,
I had coffee,
coffee,
Power lift.
energy drinks.
a
You were power-
shock.
Did I take your power lift spot? I might have.
Mine was a temporary 3-month contract that we had agreed upon. Yeah.
So I did. So I took it.
And I will say the unfortunate thing about, not to bang Spartan around, but I mean, I haven't been paid on some of these contracts yet. They paid Spartan. I know that, but Spartan hasn't relayed the money to me. So I'm being a little selective these days. We want to talk about
Yeah, that
it.
money's gone.
Yeah, they're waiting for a couple more events.
Oh, yeah. Your invoice is still there. We have everything. We just don't have any sort of date to give you ever. Like, I posted about this stuff a year ago. I'm still not paid on it. So anyway.
Statute of limitations. You can't get paid anymore. New year, new you.
Is that how it works?
Yeah,
You guys,
it's a
it's a real fun
version.
situation when the middleman is Spartan on these contracts.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Guys,
I never thought
We
that
got
would be-
you. Just trust us.
So where are we going? All right, we got Palm Beach. BK, you in on that one?
My question stands to Jack. Can you get us in?
Good question. Jack,
Can
what do you got
race
for us?
All 4 of you want to race? I'll try to work my magic. I can't guarantee anything, but I would like to see Race Brain all at one, either Palm Beach or Big Bear.
This is a legitimate question, and please don't take it as egotistically as it's going to sound. Can you find 41 better qualified athletes than us?
Who are willing to travel there? Probably not.
Percentage-wise, Jack, is there even a
Percentage?
percent on
Yeah.
this point?
I mean, Rich
0
hasn't done an
point something?
OCR in a couple of years
No.
besides Fort Carson. You're right. But I think we know after a 10th place in the series before, he can obstacle.
And he's
Bracken, you haven't
world
raced for a
champ.
couple of years. You can still do work.
North
Kirk,
American champ, 2-time
Yeah.
North American High Rocks champ, first to
Yeah.
ever do that.
The only time they've held a short
categories.
course, I was the second place at World Champs.
Yeah. And Kirk
Doesn't
already
matter if it
has
was
podiums
11
this
years
year.
ago.
Yeah,
and a
money.
win.
Yeah.
Kirk's
And, like,
definitely in.
I can keep up with Lindsay as a rabbit. Like,
Gotta
she's
count for
getting top
something.
10 in the
That's
men's race.
not
so-
easy.
Got to count for
Yeah.
something.
I'm not saying we're the most qualified. I'm saying there aren't 41 people more qualified.
We're not the least.
Yeah.
We're definitely not the least.
I would be all in for a Race Brain Palm Beach.
And we all have to be in the same heat.
April
We can't be like
21st.
No,
you're in
that's
heat 1,
dumb.
you're in heat 2.
We got to be in all the different heats so we can meet in the championship.
Yeah, we want to advance.
I
Survive
know
and
we can work
advance.
as a pack to make it.
No chance.
You know, this would be one relay
chance.
format I would pay to watch, like a 3-person relay. Everybody gives a lap or
Ooh.
rip. That would be like the best
Yeah.
relay format they've ever had. And
You mean what they did in Abu
they
Dhabi?
did that in Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi. You're right. Yeah.
Oh, they
We
did.
We already have
Yeah.
3 singlets. And a
It was
team manager
Rylan, Chris,
t-shirt.
and VJ.
Let's make it a 4K proper relay style. When
Yeah.
you guys did relays, how did you sort it out in terms of strength? Like, where did you put your strongest and weakest runners?
Best to worst, we always did anchor first, third, second.
Your second fastest was wait.
First.
Second fastest led off.
Okay.
Slowest was next. Third fastest was third. And then our anchor was the best.
We would flip 2 and 3. We put 3 as our weakest link.
Depends who you're racing. Depends what you need to get out of it. Sometimes you go 1, 2, 3, 4 and hope that 3 and 4 can hang the F on. And sometimes you let dogs eat and go 4, 3, 2, 1 just for kicks. And then sometimes you gotta.
And what
You gotta
relay
play
are we
around.
talking? 4x4, you got to put someone that can come out of blocks hot
Right.
and can run the extra 6 to 8 meters.
You think we're putting together a race brain 4x4?
I'm just saying
you think
that
we're doing?
affected it.
Might break 4 minutes right now.
Maybe.
Depends who's coming.
If you're running a DMR,
Depend what that headwind's like on the backstretch.
running a DMR, it doesn't matter who you put in the 400 or
It's all
the
like
800.
mile.
There's
DMR
only
is
the 1200 and the
broken.
mile matter.
DMR, they got to flip it. They just got to go mile 12,
Yeah.
8, 4, or just to make the mile. I hate the way that it's structured now. It's the
I
best
hate
race.
saying it as a distance runner, but the mile doesn't even belong in it. You should just run a
They should put it
4x8.
first.
They should have 2 400s.
They should put the mile first, so it matters.
It's just 4x8. There's 400's not distance, and miles sit and kick.
Yeah.
4x8.
It adds up to the same.
4x8's the best.
4x8's the
we'd run
best.
bracket. We wouldn't do a 4x4.
But you got to be in the race, and you got to be able to close the race.
We had 156, 208, 2 flat, 156 for our team.
208.
Yeah. We put him second.
Jared Newby told me he's from like Binghamton, New York, and Lopez Lamong went to high school in Tully, New York, a real tiny town, and he had a brother. So they had like a relay that was like a 2 152s and like 2 210s.
That's still a competitive relay.
That's not bad relay. Yeah.
They're on E flat.
You can stagger them, or you can let them go 3-4.
It's going to state every year.
Yeah.
Most places.
That's good.
All right. So we'll figure out a date. Palm Beach doesn't work for me, I don't think.
Big
think
Bear.
there's-
You live at elevation now.
Big Bear could work.
I ain't going to Big Bear.
Unless
I'm not going to altitude and running for 20 minutes all out. You can have that. I am not interested in it. If you want to do the beast, sure. I have a chance.
Yeah.
Dude, what about Montreal in the summer? That's probably beautiful. Quebec.
Humid, I bet.
That's fine.
It's not Montreal, is it?
Nah, Quebec though. Sorry.
Okay. If you think that that the 3K is going to be inclusive of many different type of athletes and sport backgrounds, watch the most recent Spartan Games season 2 and watch the 3K course at Big Bear. And then tell me that it looks like a lot of fun for a non-OCR athlete to come do. That looked horrendous for everyone.
They put that like on the dirt. Like that was the thing with VJ, right? He's like, I'm not diving on these jagged rocks like 3 times. I'm good on that. We're gonna have to be wearing those like the Reband knee sleeves. We're gonna be all geared up.
Nike Pro Combat padded stuff.
We'll be ahead of that. That'll be the new mod.
Why can't you do
shirts.
Palm Beach?
If they make you do Olympus 3 times, I'd wear like skateboarding knee pads. I think that would be the most effective approach to longevity in this sport.
Doing Olympus once, I'm good. I'm doing the penalty.
I still got scars on my knees, and
I'm
it was a
doing the
month
penalty.
ago.
I'll put rock tape on my knees for that.
I think Reband. They used to be in the Spartan game. Kent's got some.
Do they affect your running?
Definitely.
Yeah, they make you bionic. Why can't you do Palm Beach?
If Houston or Dallas goes really, really well, then I could potentially not do High Rocks Anaheim.
Same weekend?
Same weekend. Big Bear is the same weekend as Worlds.
Friday.
It's Friday. Make
Just
the
run a
trip.
3K the night before. Midnight
Rogloski method.
flight.
Then why did you keep saying Big Bear? I can do Big Bear.
I was wrong.
Kirk
I didn't
can't.
say that.
Kirk cannot.
No, I could.
Oh.
I'm not.
There's a brand new flight from Denver to Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania. That'll take you like 20 minutes from Palmerton.
This is that fine. There's one race in between there in Mexico as well, right? And that's not
That's at
part
the
of the
end.
series.
That's the national. that might be that might
North
be
American
the North
champs.
American in between July and October.
Yeah. Does not count as the series.
No, that's the North American Championships. Obviously, right in the middle of the series.
It's the equivalent of Kelowna last year,
Right.
But now it's Mexico.
So yeah, so I think if we were allowed in, it would make sense to go Palm Beach, Canada, Pennsylvania, Mexico.
Oh, you want to do the whole series, BK?
If we were doing the series.
Just spitballing here.
I think Palmerton would be a blast, except
Never been there.
no?
Except what? They can't send you up that mountain too far.
Enough. I picture it happening over in the bucket carry area.
I would agree.
That's gonna suck.
It would definitely
that
suck.
whole area, that bucket carry up and
Usually
down, where
barbed
you usually
wire.
have a barbed wire and a rig, and then coming down. That could be a 30-minute 3K right there.
Yeah.
So if you got to do 4 out of the 5, are 2 of the 5 at least for sure at elevation, right? Big Bear, and then I assume anywhere in Mexico is going to be up there, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
One Mexico
you
is
need
like
to do
517.
You need to do 4 out of the 5, right, to get a score. Like, I'm out. I'm not going to go race 20 minutes at altitude and try to compete with guys that live in the mountains. It's going to be a death sentence. That's what I think.
Palm Beach is not at altitude.
I
The
understand
mountain guys
that.
are so slow. You're fine.
I understand that. Thank you.
Dynamite drop in there.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's going to come down to like, are you doing this to do the series, or are you doing this to get into Worlds?
Right, that's a good point.
If you're doing it to get into Worlds, you just have to make a splash at 2 races, I would assume. I don't know. Jack probably knows more. Jack definitely knows more, or will know more.
Won't tell us. And these are heavily weighted for the World OCR as well. So like doing these races will give you there's like a point structure to the way
Savage is worth more because of how obstacle dense it is. Or
I think it's the Savage. I think
it
counts.
Can't be more obstacle dense.
The 15K and the 3K have different point
technical
structures. I think the 3K. Yeah. I think the Spartan 3K will give you more points for the World OCR 3K, and Savage will give you more for the 15K.
All right, question for the group then. Out of the 45 people that they're going to rank as the 45 best at this,
that Jack's going to rank,
how many of those will think one time this year about how does this affect me for World Obstacle? How many will that even cross their mind once?
10.
You think
0.
10?
10.
Oh, there'll be more than 0.
There's definitely people who want to go.
It could be
there
1.
People.
It'll be more age groupers, I think.
I think
there will be some age groupers qualified in these top 45.
Yes.
On the top end of the sport, I think people want to face the Europeans a little bit more, and the races in Belgium on European soil, and the best Europeans surely are going to go there. I think you'll see some people with like a little, like people already have qualified because it's based on last year's results as well. So I don't think this year's race is necessarily going to make a difference. But
which I don't like. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to use a qualifying system on races that happened before the people knew there was a qualifying system.
Yeah,
I don't love it
because the race is in September in Belgium.
To Belgium.
So should you go Belgium or September or? Yeah,
it's probably gonna be rainy.
Do you A, recognize their authority, and B, would you care to go?
Personally, I'm not interested.
I'd race it.
Yeah. The answer to both of your questions
it depends
is
on
no
if there's financial
and
assistance, to be honest. But
not going. We could wear that USA. That'd be kind of cool.
If they offered you a flight, would you go?
People are like, what country is Mod the foreigners are going to be? They're like, where's that? Is that
you're damn right.
Is somewhere in the Middle East? I don't know.
What's the language of origin of mod, Jack?
It's mostly bullshit.
Use that in a sentence.
Nice.
Trying to explain it to people. I'm like, well, it's like this thing. It's like kind of a thing. We're kind of made it up. It's kind of stupid. I would.
It's weird because I said it. It hurts me more to be like, it's kind of this nonsense thing. But here's the definition, and the definition kind of sucks. But I'm the one who said it, so I feel guilty saying that. Like, I don't like it, but I love it.
Love it.
It's like, it's my child.
People
but
make
I
up
know
new
she's
words
ugly.
all the time.
It's still Maud is still an infant. We don't know where Maud is going to end up.
Yeah, who knows what puberty is going to do to this kid?
Yeah, totally. I don't think I would go if it was a flight.
I've got like 5 minutes left, by the way. So,
well, then you better give us something good. What do you got to say?
You're the director. Let's go.
Did you look up the laser pistol rules and penalty loop and all that?
Nah.
All right, Jack. Let's get some takes on this. What do you want to talk about more? Cross country or track and field?
Mm-hmm. I'll do like 2 minutes of each. World cross country. You guys are probably going to dive into it deeper.
Spoiling?
Are we giving results? And
it happened.
It happened.
So do you think
you didn't see it yet?
More
the women's race
compared to the number of people who care about World Obstacle? How many people do you think watched it and know the results already?
Well,
more.
I looked
less than 10.
You guys are going to be surprised. I looked it up, and as of last night, last night around 11 or 12 or so, World Athletics on their YouTube page, they only had about 20,000 views for this, which is right in line with Spartan.
I was one of them
for the live coverage.
Wow. For cross, for the cross. I saw it on something of running, not World of Running. Temple of Running,
Temple.
Yeah.
and I couldn't find the women's race in its entirety.
I watched
you saw the
U20
ending
men
though, right?
and pro men last night.
I saw the ending. Oh, you saw it? You watched I watched pro men and the recap of pro women.
Yeah.
Well, give us your
hate
takes, Jack,
results.
before you have to leave, because we're going to blabber about this for a while.
I
Does
think
that mean it's Perform Elite time?
Sure.
I think you can start taking that down.
you guys, yeah,
All right. Sound
do
up.
it. You guys are in charge of the clock after this. Yeah.
Big gulps.
So my takes on this, cross
You might
country
want to stir that,
is pretty
Bracken.
lame. Yeah. Okay. And you have pit stains, so looking like.
All right, Jack, what's your take?
Little bit.
Cross country sucks.
Yep.
Was that what you're gonna say?
Yes, the cross country. I think we're so used to seeing trail running and thinking that that's kind of like what non-track or road type of courses is like. It was pretty lame to see people freaking out about running in between, weaving in and out of tires, as like
freaked
an
out?
obstacle.
Yeah, was that a
they
thing?
were making.
It was a
Yeah,
talking point.
they had like a weave section.
No, who freaked
early
out?
on, like you do a lot of like pre-race. People were like, "This doesn't belong in here. This is."
Are you on the Let's
tricky,"
Run
you know,
message boards? Is that where this was? Let's pull it up.
I've seen some of it. Yeah, definitely. I don't
I've
have
seen some.
a
How many
registered username, but I've been on
how
there.
many usernames do you have?
I have
None.
one.
I've never created one.
You have none.
Have you posted?
No, I just read
Because
it.
I've-
never posted?
I play a game sometimes where I'm like, I think that's Jack. Where it just feels like
Genuinely.
I think that's Jack Bauer.
I got a buddy in
Feels like
college
me.
who I know. It's like, this is definitely him.
For a while, I was pretty convinced I knew who Dennis Wayne Welch was on there.
Really?
I think I can recognize if Macaulay posts.
You don't know his username?
No, I would never ask him something like that. It's that mystery that gets me titillated.
So this is kind of funny you mentioned Macaulay. There was one, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, someone was asking about like trying to find a track during COVID in Colorado. And then there were just responses and stuff. And I just happened to click on that thread and I scroll down and there's a response saying, yeah, at so-and-so, you don't happen to be a runner with red hair in Colorado Springs, are you? And I was like, this is kind of crazy. Someone thinks this is me, clearly. So I think,
And I just happened to be on the
people
thread checking to see if anyone had replied to that username.
I was scrolling down and it said like looking for a track in Colorado. I'm like, that would be useful for me.
There was a thread when I ran the basketball mile, and it was exactly what you'd expect.
People trashing you?
I wore a Spartan cutoff when I did it.
Oh my goodness.
And I ran in VJs, and it was some people like, "Oh, that's kind of quick. That's impressive." And other people like, "Yes, stupid effing CrossFitter," or whatever. I don't know what it was. Yeah, I got trashed a little bit on there.
Of course.
It's an honor.
Did they talk about your handles though? Were they impressed?
They couldn't say a thing. Someone said I carried close to the finish. I'm like, carry these notes.
Happens every play in the NBA.
You can call carry on every dribble. It's allowed.
Yeah. Just back to World Cross Country real quick. So they had crazy weather though, super windy. That did suck. The conditions made it a good race, but I think that cross country runners just straight up are pretty lame.
You're out on cross country.
Cross country runners are lame.
It's a great take, dude.
Yeah.
It's a great take from you, Jack.
Yeah.
We all ran cross.
I know.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jack,
We're
you're
no
right.
longer just regular cross country runners.
You are totally right about.
I love watching it. I love watching it as much or more than I love watching
It was a
Spartan
very
hybrid.
good race. Yeah.
When
They
you can
added a 4x2K,
appreciate the
which was
speed in which they move through space.
So
And-
fast.
Oh my God, I drool. Even at the men.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's a thing of beauty. And the things with the tires and then the vineyard lanes was there's rarely pinch points in cross country, but this caused strategic surging and
I liked it.
bottlenecking.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It's totally lame, but it made them think just a little extra. And so whatever, they were holding on to that, but they did talk about it a lot.
Yeah, compared to like
Love it.
yeah, like a golf course or like
Yeah.
Paul Short at Lehigh, like where it's you could run 10 wide. That it wasn't
my
like that.
my
That's
whole
mud.
point is if you're watching like the Golden Trail series or something like that, and you're like, oh, non-road or non-track running, which one looks cooler? We're so used to trail at this point that it's like that just looks more visually appealing running.
I can't say it looks cooler because nothing's cooler than being fast. And the Golden Trail series, sometimes they look very impressive. And sometimes I catch myself thinking, I wonder if I could be keeping up through here. And not once during World Cross did anyone ever think,
Nope.
I wonder if I could be keeping up through here. But the other thing I love about Cross is that they had like 6 of the 10 best male runners that I've seen in my lifetime, all in this race. And you never see anything but almost perfection from these guys on the track. And you saw their form break for the first time ever. They run their best, like the best form I could ever run. They run a better version than that for the entire race on kind of crappy terrain, but then they crack. Like Solomon Barrega looked bad.
12.
I've never seen his form look bad in my entire life. I love seeing that cross country, if it gets gnarly enough, still cracks the best people in the history of the world.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, 1, 3, 4, and 5 are probably like 4 of the best distance runners on the planet right now. So you had depth at the top, which was pretty cool to see.
Can we go to this list and just
Yeah,
talk about how good these people are? So
got-
Kip Limo
Yep.
might be the best active distance runner in the world right now.
How old is he? Not old, right?
What is he, like 24? 22?
Yeah, probably around there.
He was second last year, wasn't he?
Joshua Cheptegei.
And this was the first time this
double world record.
happened since COVID, correct? This was like a very highly
Yeah.
anticipated race.
Cheptegei
Double
set
world
the
record for
5
Cheptegei.
and 10K world records during COVID. Kamwar is one of the best half marathon guys we've ever seen. Plus, he's dominant on the track. Candy set the half marathon world record, which was just recently broken by Kip Limo, I think.
It's like
Then you
57
have
low.
Sawe has been in world championship finals multiple times. And then you go down even further. Salomon Barrega is a world champ and scared the world record. He's run, I might be wrong here, 12:46, 12:44 in a 5K. One of the prettiest runners I've ever seen in my life. He faded down to 12th.
59 seconds behind the winner.
And he's a 26, maybe 44 10K guy. Sam Chalanga is
He
The
lives here.
first U.S. finisher.
Colorado.
He lives in Colorado?
an absolute monster, multi-time Olympian. Has he medaled?
No,
I
no.
don't think so.
He was like NCAA at Liberty with Galen Rupp. Like he was bad.
Kai Robinson was All-American.
Chalenka started at
Rich wanted to
FDU
chime
in,
in on
New
Chalenka.
Jersey. Yeah, like he was, I think, either my year or a year younger than I was, and he showed up out of nowhere, and we saw him at all these races, and he was just murdering. He's small.
Yeah.
It's like-
Rogers Cabet up there, I didn't even notice him. He was 15th place, and he is a world-class runner. It's just crazy. There was a pack of guys who you just look at and think some of these guys are going to go down to some of the best we've ever seen, and they're cracking each other here. You never
Emmanuel
see them
Moore.
crack. They just get slower with the same form, and they cracked.
Anthony Rodich right there. I've seen his name
Mhm.
several times in big races.
Well, and there's 2 other Rodiches as well who I think are more accomplished.
I thought Anthony was the guy, but
Timothy
maybe I'm wrong.
Rodich, I believe.
I'm not getting last in this race. That's for sure.
No, they trail off a little bit in some of the countries like Maud.
Fiji needs to.
How dare you?
I was
Fiji needs
trying to
work on
figure
this.
out because
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize this, but I was watching. I was like, why are there still runners on the course? They're lapping a woman who's running like 10-minute pace out there, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized because of the bad weather Jack mentioned, and it came howling in, they just told the athletes, like, you're going 25 minutes early, get out there. So the previous races weren't even done, and they sent the men out there early. Like, imagine the timing of the warm-up, like everything. They were told last minute watching the radar, and that's why they were lapping like slow men and women from previous races, which I had no idea. I've never seen that before. I thought that was interesting.
Mhm. They also lapped men from their race on
Right.
the third lap. There
This
was
is
a guy
5
who looked to
2K
be about
laps.
50 years old.
But he ran 44 minutes for a 10K, and he's in the world championship.
I'd
Like,
smoke that dude.
Yeah.
Murk that.
I
and
would've
then the
sat and
women,
kicked him.
women's finish, like you don't see her in the results.
G'day is the strongest female runner on the planet right now.
Gosh, she runs powerfully, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Coincidence that she falls down as soon as she gets past.
What was your coach thinking? Going out there and grabbing her and then DQing her? Like,
She wasn't going to finish. If she was really, you've seen athletes get to that point.
I know,
where it's
I know,
wobbly, like you
but-
can't, you're not going to.
But she didn't have the wobble. She just like somebody shot her in the knee.
She didn't look great. I saw her.
Maybe the last.
But she
What
wasn't,
happened?
like-
she didn't look great. She was leading 9,900.
Everybody who's
meters.
listening has no idea what we're talking about. Basically, the woman who led the race pulled ahead down the final stretch and gapped everybody, winning handily, fell
50
over.
meters.
World record holder.
Fell over 40 meters from the finish line. Her coach runs out to help her up, which automatically disqualifies her. And then their team loses the world title because she can't count in the scoring. Yeah. That's what happened. So that's a little bit of drama for you.
Did you see the Japanese men? They got out hot. They were 1-2 for the first K with a gap on the field. One of them held on. He was probably in the top 12 still. And he got about 40 meters from the finish and then started getting pulled backwards by a ghost. And then he fell and he totally went down. And then he got up and he started crab walking, scooting his feet forward. He couldn't get his body to crawl. So he scooched his butt and feet forward and he got within about like 6 feet of it. And he sat up and collapsed dead backwards. Like he was unconscious. And there's one guy looking at him at the finish, and there was a timer sitting there, and and his teammate, and they just watched him. And then he like slowly rolled around and collapsed again. And then people started to come out, but this guy was unconscious, like 4 feet from the finish line, and his feet were towards it. So if he had his timing chip on, he was like 1 foot from the timing mat and he couldn't get to it. And eventually they had to come out and pick him up, but they left him on the ground for a scary amount of time.
That's so scary though. When that happens, like I can't imagine. Have any of you had that experience before running? I have not.
No, I think it's what from a buildup of CO2, I believe is what is happening there. Like that you're just like hyperventilating so aggressively that you can't get it out of your system. Right. I think that's what this is.
People always ask, like, you get so close. What are the odds you just come up 30 feet short? And it's not about that. It's about that you're emptying the tank at that point.
It's over.
And you're pushing it. And that's when it goes. But I collapsed. I was taken off a cross-country course my sophomore year in high school in an ambulance.
What happened?
I don't know. I was running. I was starting to feel like I was hurting. I was running. And then I took a couple steps and I was just on the ground. It was like just before the 1.5 point.
Oh, wow.
It was a cold day. I don't know if that had to do anything, but I was starting to fade and suddenly I was on the ground and I didn't know why. I just like fell in slow motion and I went to get up and I couldn't. And I was just like in the fetal position and my fingers and toes were locked and my jaw locked. And I couldn't really talk. My tongue was locked. Everything just locked.
You go through a few tests after that, Bracken?
They brought me in the ambulance and then they put the blanket around me. And after a while, when my jaw unlocked, they gave me like a juice box or something. I'm sitting there. And as I warmed up, I was like a beetle. I just unthawed and I was fine. Everything came back. I didn't even run tests at that point. There's like, you're good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like the whole time my heart and respiration was fine. It was just like, I collapsed.
You waited that long to make like a medical Tahoe race excuse, huh? Like
Tahoe, I finished.
The ultra.
Well, I walked off under my own power. I chose.
If you want to see just people dropping like flies, just go to any state high school girls cross country race. The girls, I guess they're just tougher than we are. They sell out. Like there's just like 15 of them crawling across the finish line at every state final. It's unbelievable thing to watch, actually.
And men and women have different blood pressures, and that plays into it on that finishing straight. Why a lot of the women drop.
That happened to a dude. I think his name was Greg Williams. There's a powerhouse in Pennsylvania, Westchester Henderson. He was going to get second 2 years in a row, and that happened to him.
Oh, happens to the best of him. Cooper Tier. What happened to him
that just happened to him?
NCAAs last year. He's one of the best American distance runners.
And he was in like 70th at the time.
Well, he was fading already.
He was getting worked. That's what I mean. That might be a little bit of that good day stuff where it's just like, I could act like I'm passing out.
You can't. Hers maybe. You can't fake like that double stanky leg that happens.
No. You would have to be incredibly coordinated. You'd probably be like an awesome dancer to do the double snaky leg.
It's like a drunk marionettist is playing with you, and you're
doing
you don't abide by the rules of gravity anymore.
You're like in that Q-op game.
You get your knees so far in front of your center mass and somehow remain upright.
There's a 70-mile-an-hour headwind only hitting you in the chest and above.
As someone's yanking on your heels forward.
All right, I got to sign off, guys.
Bye, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I've been watching nothing but cross country and track and the records going down. I watched 39 straight minutes of the mile. at the indoor invite where 52 men broke 4 minutes in the
Where
same
was this? I missed this.
Boston. They had
So
8
the
heats,
BU one?
had pacers scheduled to run 4 minutes or under. And I think everybody down to heat 8, somebody ran sub 4 minutes. So I was on the assault bike just watching people rip and rip. A dude from MIT, Division 3, ran 355 low and won his heat. Insanity.
What's going on?
We talked about this briefly in the Lauren Weeks episode because I couldn't help myself but bring it up that we did last week. But in our WEAT conference in Wisconsin, it's the conference that Bracken and I both ran at. 2 guys at the conference championship ran sub 14, like 1340 something and 1350 something indoors at a conference championship.
What?
And
usually it's like their second race.
Not a super track. This is like you couldn't, whatever that means, right? But like these are just dudes running fast. It's absolutely insane what people are doing right now.
Think about this progression. There was a time where you broke 4 and you became the most famous runner in the history of the world. And then you break 4 and the whole world knows your name. And then eventually you break 4 and you're still going to the Olympics. And finally you break 4 and you're a national champ or All-American. And now you break 4 and you took 52nd place at your track meet out of heat 8.
It's insane.
What? We made a big deal one year. There were 28 guys or 32 guys Division 1 that broke 4 indoor, and sub 4 didn't make. There was like 359.8 didn't go to nationals. And now last year, 358.1 or something like that didn't go to nationals. And now this year, you're not even in the top 50 at your indoor meet running sub 4.
They were talking something because Jack, now he's not here to defend himself, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Said something about super tracks, and then Rich was like, "What was this super?
What are we
track?
talking about?"
Well, then I was listening to some interviews, and they were talking about the spring back from like the boards underneath the rubber, like the way it's laid out, like the boarding might have some sort of give or return. I think is what I understand. Like the technology or the choice of wood underneath the rubber has some sort of return so the interviewers were like, so did you feel the difference in the track or like the old, I guess everybody knows that's a fast track because of the boards. Is that what I'm understanding?
You ever run on a gymnastics springboard floor or a spring floor?
Yeah.
That feeling of I get something back from the ground. I could run really fast on this or just run moderately fast for a long time. It is a microscopic version of that where the actual surface, the rubber has progressed just like the rubber in shoes has progressed. So the Mondo surfaces are just lighter and springier and more resilient than they used to be. But yeah, the way they're underlaying it has an ability. It's not a spring floor, but it's also not running with Mondo over the top of concrete either. Like you can jump better on an old hardwood floor than you can on one of those rubberized over concrete basketball floors. Like there is a little bit in the old hardwood floors that gives you a slight amount of give in return. And it's the same thing with these tracks.
That's why I hated running at Whitewater back then. I don't know if that's changed, but your track was so firm. Yeah. Like it was just like a thin layer of rubber over concrete that went for miles below the surface of the earth, I'm pretty sure. And the Colf Center, right. The Colf Center where we trained had boards underneath and it was a fast track and we could rip on there all the time. And then I'd go run at your track and I'd be demolished. Beat up. Yeah. It's like my spikes felt like they weren't even the same spikes I've been running because your track was so hard.
Yeah.
So there's a couple elements then, right? Like super tracks.
Yeah. Super spikes.
The training, obviously, like in training technology, I don't really know exactly what they're doing at the collegiate level, but I understand like the technologies in these weight rooms are a bit different. Training's just always going to get better. We're always going to figure things out a little bit more. So are super tracks, is that exclusively indoor then, since it's board based?
No, I mean, that's one of the Monaco things. Some people say it's short. Other people just say it's spectacular. It was one of the new wave of tracks. They had that surface at the Olympics as well.
It's not Mondo?
Let's call it Mondo Plus. Not like Unbreakable Plus.
Okay.
It's Mondo track.
How many different track types are there?
I mean, think about how many different type of just shredded rubber tracks there are. Some of them feel different than others. Some of them feel way more newer, plush.
Or I always thought that was just like how used it got would just be like worn down.
Well, and also thickness. How many layers do you put on? We've run on Mondo tracks, Mankato State, I want to say. Felt like you were running on like industrial carpet over concrete. There was no give to that thing. And then I ran on one down in, want to say Carolina, and it felt like this is springier. There's just more surface underneath me. So even the thickness of how deep it is can play a difference.
Because Mondo to the touch isn't like spongy or springy, like how we're kind of talking about, like with how the boards is probably what's propelling us forward. Mondo is harder than like what a typical all-weather track would be, right? So that like that type of give back. You think they can make like a PBEX track? Just make a whole, like a really firm.
They're making insoles out of it now.
What is PBEX?
That's what the super shoes are.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's a version. Yeah,
a lot of
it's
it.
A version.
Many of them.
You looked at me like I was stupid for not knowing that. I saw it in your eyes.
Who BK did?
Somebody did. I felt shamed there. It's once an episode.
PBEX is actually the plate, right?
I thought it was the rubber.
Oh, I'm gonna feel like an idiot.
Now we gotta.
How fast could you run around a track if it was a big trampoline with a hollow bit underneath the 400 meters, and you could gallop like 15 yards a stride when you really got going? Would that be? I mean, there's got to be a point of no return, right? Probably be a little slower. What do you think, Rich?
I'm sorry, I got lost on the PBEX. I'm deep in on PBEX.
There's PBA or PEBA, PEBA foam, but I thought PBEX was the plate.
PBEX I'm familiar with PEBA.
No, you're right.
Yeah, PBEX is like the non-generic version. It's like the trademark version.
So PBEX and PEBA are the same.
Same.
It's like Kleenex versus tissues.
Correct. Yes.
I was wrong, but I think there is such thing as a PBEX plate.
But a rubber. I mean, because PEBA was initially used for like it's like what car bumpers are, so it can be really, really hard.
Gotcha.
Right. So it could.
PBEX is more of
could be a plate,
composite plate versus a carbon plate.
That could be the case.
Okay.
The busted ass broke ass version.
Either way, people are running fast as heck, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although I will. Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just like to tie the two together about people running fast and like the Americans, and we got how many boy high school athletes potentially can go sub 4 in high school this year? They had 4 last year. We might have 13 years in a row without somebody going under 4 as a high school boy, and then 4 in 1 year. So yeah, there's like something to it all. But at the same time, you saw like Lex Young go over, or Leo, which one? Lex went over and ran World Cross Country, the under 20 race. Do you want to know how far Lex Young was behind the winners? He was our top American finisher, and he's all over everything right now.
He's 16th place.
He was 16th place, and it's an 8K? Right?
They have an 8K.
Wow.
They haven't doing 8K. Guess how far our best young prospect?
It was 92 seconds.
He was a minute and a half just over behind the winner. That's how far behind we still are at times as like American distance running. Yet we had 52 people. Most weren't foreign. They were North Americans going under 4 in the mile. Wild.
So have you guys tried on the super spikes?
I tried on it wasn't technically a spike. It was that New Balance Road Miler shoe.
Oh, okay.
Jenny Simpson. What was that?
That was when they first introduced the foam that they have.
And that I could not run on the road in. It was plated and it had fuel cell foam on it, but like
not a lot,
4 mil or something like that. And I put it on and thought this would rip in cross country or in like a 5K on the track because it's got the plate. Every spike has had a plate and many of them carbon for like 2 decades, but there's just no cushion to it at all. So it's the same feel of that, but it's just forgiving. You don't feel like a squish, but you feel like you can bounce off the track rather than like crack into the track. That's how it felt to me just putting that thing on. And I thought I don't know if I'd be any faster on lap 1 or 2, but I might be a little less beat up on lap 3 and I might be able to stay on my forefoot longer. But I haven't wore the Dragonfly or Mizuno spike or Asics, not Mizuno, Asics spike or Adidas the Avanti look pretty awesome too. I haven't worn those because I've had no reason to, but
right. That's the last thing you need to be spending the budget on.
Yeah.
Super spikes.
But I could see how.
What's the price point on those super spikes?
Good question.
And they start like 150, 160.
So they're reasonable. I mean, you
can get almost all of them. Maybe not Nike, but all the Adidas right now you can get for under $90, I think.
Really?
Wow.
So the price hasn't changed that much.
Because I think the new ones are coming. They've dropped all of them. You can get Asics, Adidas, and I'm not sure. Running Warehouse right now has a bunch under 100. You can get a world like the stuff that world champs are wearing for under $100, which is we were paying like what, 130 when the Victory Elite came out in college. They were like 150 or something. You're paying over 100 for non-foam based spikes in college.
So I would imagine that the super spikes have more to do with it than the super tracks. And also at BU, was there wave light? Did all these heats have wave light?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Wait, which one am I thinking?
I don't think they
did. They run who ran the 3K? No, that was overseas.
They didn't have the wave light.
Overseas, they had 2 wave lights going.
Yeah, and they had like 4 rabbits. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? Like,
they were chase group
making sure. Chase group wave light.
I didn't know you could do.
Well, no, didn't they pick out? They picked out a wave light for the world record, and then they gave like, well, this guy's going for their national record, which is 3 seconds behind the world record. So we're going to give this one guy a pace light. So we're going to get. It was bizarre how they chose it. Like they gave somebody like an advantage, right? Like this person has the potential to break their national record, so we're going to give him the wave light. Just one person.
But it turned into like that was the next available pace to people. Like we can't run with the world. So it was. I think it was. I didn't get in deep to that, but I think it was designed for one person. But they knew like 6 or 7 people were going to be able to go on that pace.
Yeah, they mentioned during the broadcast, and the second pace light is set for Mr. So-and-so trying to run X time. So I know they did that.
I had volume off on that one. I had music on. I was cranking.
So yeah, because the wave light, because when you guys just kind of like explain, like, I mean, I think it's fairly straightforward, but like, what exactly is it?
It is basically an LED light. It's not, but it's like a strip of LED lights that circles the entire inside lane of lane 1 on the track and is set to go at exactly whatever pace you want it to go. And there is a green that sits ahead, or is it blue? Why am I blanking on that now? How many races have we watched with wave light?
I think it's
run one.
I think it's green.
And it gives you a range to run in, and then there's a secondary color right behind it. But you basically set it at whatever you want, and then you can just not have a rabbit then and chase whatever time you want, or you can run the rabbit runs at the front end of it and everyone sits behind them, and you can set it to fluctuate pacing as well. So the most recent one, the 3K, I think they set it up to negative split the race.
Got faster. Interesting. Yeah. You'd imagine that's not a hard thing to adjust. How are we feeling, distance runners into our late 30s, about all of this?
I hated it all until I tried it, and now I'm very much into it.
The super shoes?
Sure. Yeah, I think the super shoes. I don't know. We can't stop advancements in technology. What does Roger Bannister say on the cement track he ran, or cinder track, or whatever the heck they were on back then? Like, I don't know. He can say the same thing about 12 different aspects, right? And we can do the same, and we're going to continue. And these young kids running fast are going to say the same thing about the sport in 20 years, probably, right? So I think it's just inevitable. So I've just accepted it, is all I'm saying. It's fun to watch.
You sound very mature.
I am so mature. Hey, if it's helping me run fast right now, I'm going to take it.
That would be the thing. If we weren't still like trying to crank at it, probably feel a lot different.
So
I think it's fine because there are still championship races without wave light. So as long as at the end of the season, when you're determining who the best racer is, you're racing. That's great. And it's what we saw with Gide, who collapsed at the finish line. She's the 5K, 10K world record holder. And then we saw it with Cheptegei, who was the 5K, 10K record holder. They didn't win their races. And at the Olympics, I don't think Gide won either. And Cheptegei only won one gold medal.
Chump.
No, but they were both expected to dust people. And when it's not a pristine setup, run one stride the entire time, and all you have to do is focus. And it's still tough, but when you remove all that and put a clump of people together, racing still matters. So yeah, the record books are going to be rewritten, but it doesn't change the fact that you have to race trials, prelims, semis, finals. You have to race in a pack. You need to stay out of traffic. You need to mind your feet in a pack. You have to know when to time your kick. I don't think it's changed championship racing one bit. If anything, it's rewarded that skill more because people are running more of these setup races throughout the year. And then they're not prepared for the elbows and the tactics of a slow race. Or with
Jack
crowds.
Bauer, that is exactly why cross country is fantastic, because none of that is involved.
Can't wear super shoes in the mud.
Doesn't do you any good. Well, will they? Will they when that Nike shoe drops? Will it?
Because that's the thing with the wave light. It takes a lot of the. Basically, it can kind of throw out the conserving energy piece, or just like thinking about the race that you're in. It just sets you exactly where you need to go. It's basically, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to running on a treadmill, right? It's like, here's the pace, follow that. Don't think about anything else. Don't have to regulate your pace. Just stay there. And if you fall back, catch up.
Which I don't think suits most people. Have you guys, I assume, Kirk, you have, Rich, I don't know if we haven't talked about this. Have you ever tried to run a time in track with a rabbit with you as the person going after it?
I don't think so.
Have you ever been the first person on a rabbit's shoulder? Kirk, have you?
I don't know.
I qualified for nationals both years that way.
Did you enjoy racing like that?
Well, I was one of like 3 right on their shoulders, so there was jostling us behind. Loved it. Yeah. As soon as that rabbit dropped, I slingshot right to the front and frickin' phew.
Were you the person ever right on the rabbit's shoulder where they drop off and you're in first?
Yeah, that's how I won the races.
Okay.
I
had that, and I struggled to race like that. Because I think I was carried by being in a race, and having a rabbit there felt like I was running a really hard interval trying to hit a time. And I spent the entire time thinking stuff I'd never think during a race. It was hard for me to quiet my mind and just get to that lock on a shoulder and just hang and get ready to kick. I was thinking the whole time, like, what is my split? What did he hit? Am I too close? This is hurting more than it should. I've come through at this pace. Like, I had a hard time staying locked in. And when he stepped off, then I tried to surge, and I surged harder than I normally. I was the least relaxed. I did it 2 or 3 times, and I was really struggling to run relaxed. So I think it rewards the type of person that can do that. Like the type of person like Ian Caskey, who can get on a treadmill and PR, or he can just set it, turn his mind off, and just hold it. I think for that type of person, it helps. But I would not run well with wave light.
Well, it sounded like there's still, because when it's just rabbited, there's still that human element. Rabbits screw it up a lot.
They do.
So if you're like, is this right? And you're putting your trust in someone else. Wave light is just like, this is going to be right.
I would do better with wave light than I would with a rabbit.
Yeah.
But I've never PR'd in a race that I led. Ever.
Eric Sawinski is basically.
He's great. He's human wave light.
Yeah.
My brother raced against him and played basketball against him in high school.
Can he hoop?
He's good. He's starting point guard on the varsity team.
Big
Wouldn't
schools?
know it looking at him. He was a good high school. I think he was an all-conference point guard.
Oh, wow. Nice.
As well as a 153 guy in high school.
That's pretty good.
Quick.
That's pretty good.
It's good, but it's not what you'd look at and be like, he's going to be one of America's top 800 runners for the next decade.
153 in high school is like pretty fast.
Maybe we have a strong 800 field.
Don't you think?
I mean, it's very fast.
That would usually win states in PA. Like if there's been kids maybe around 150, but they're like the best that we've seen.
Midwest turns out some 800 meter runners.
I think it's just too cold to be out there running longer than that.
I don't know what it is.
Could be.
Brazier's he's a Michigan guy. We generally have someone crack 150 or run right close to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
One of my college teammates was 152.8, I think, in high school. He got down to 151.7 in college. 800 is a crapshoot, though.
In terms of development?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As early developers do pretty well in the 800.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
We also saw Femke Bol, who she ran 49.2 indoors.
And she had just set the 300 a couple weeks earlier, or did she just miss the 300?
I don't know. And this is typically a hurdler. This is like who got second to Sydney, or she's just like
she was third. Wasn't what's her name? The other American.
Did Dalia get second? Dalia Muhammad?
Yeah.
I thought it was Femke Bol, but I'm not sure.
Well, those are the top 3 in the world. always. And there's no one close to those three.
Has Sydney run indoor this? Is she running? Has she raced?
She ran a race. She might have run. I could be wrong on this. She might have run like a 60 or something.
Oh, really? She should run. She should throw her an 800. Let's see her. Let's see what she's got.
Got a stride on her.
You murder.
All I know is Luis Grijalva and Yara Nagus are going to take over the world. They're going to be our true African contingency, and Jakob Ingebrigtsen, if things trend correctly, might have himself a race from an American, which would be really fun to see.
Yeah,
Nagus makes sense, maybe. Not that fast.
Grijalva's jump
But
has been
Grijalva?
incredible.
He was a grinder.
Dude, and now he's up front running and looking like he's asleep doing it. It's unbelievable.
His stride and his just like posture, it's amazing. He doesn't look like he's.
You've got to love
trying.
Grijalva's. Up and down. Pop, 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 pop.
He doesn't look, and he's not stressed anywhere. He's just he looks great when he runs.
He runs like a skinny Rich Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what can he squat though? Not a lot.
The bar.
Barely.
Metal.
Maybe.
True.
What's his 2K skier? Come on.
Nagus has the type of he runs like in terms of his extension that he gets front and back on his legs, like Mo Farah.
Insane.
Like
because how tall is he? He's probably not over 6 foot, right? It would be like
he strikes me as
5'8".
like 5'10".
5'10".
I
can't.
One of those guys.
Yeah,
Farah always looked tall because he's so lanky, and he's like what, like 5'8".
Yeah, like that stride length that he has is probably of someone of like 6'2".
Yeah, but Nagus just has like unlimited range with his legs without losing his ability to like snap that foot back underneath him. His upper body, he runs like an African woman. How they keep their hands up in front of them and just kind of like
he does
turn forward like this.
Yeah,
but can run 347 like that.
Who's he training with?
He's part of that on training.
Is he?
Now.
That's in Boulder, I think.
Is it?
I thought so.
I think he's with on. So he's with Hoare and
Clinker.
Yeah, is that right? And then that would be blanket. Dathan Ritzenheim is coaching it, I believe.
Right.
I thought they were in like Florida or something.
Oh, really? I thought they were in Boulder.
Did they move to altitude now?
I don't know. I know nothing.
But then
they're running fast. That's all that matters.
They got what's her name
fast.
from?
They're in Boulder.
Who is a national champ at Wisconsin? She's on that team now.
Munson.
Yeah,
Alicia Munson.
Mm-hmm. They've had the best indoor of any team.
Somebody asked me, you guys would probably know as well or better than I do, but I got 2 messages now over like the recent month, we'll say, about you guys talk about, running, and I don't even know where to find this stuff. Like, where do people go to watch these races? And we watch it all on YouTube, mostly.
YouTube or Peacock.
That Peacock. We need a promo code for Peacock.
If you simply just go on YouTube and follow FlowTrack, you're gonna get the gist of what's going on in world track and field. I feel like
that is a good question, because I think it seems like there are a lot of players in it, but I don't find it to be very concise. Like, I still lean on Let's Run, unfortunately, and that's been a piece of shit website since its inception.
Yeah, it's a cesspool.
It's terrible, and like it just looks bad, disorganized. It's like they're hunting cheaters. That's like their whole agenda. So, but that's where I go.
That agenda.
You're down for that?
I love those threads.
Rojo, let them know.
You start with one race. Let's say you want to watch the Olympic 1500 meter final. You just Google that very thing. And then
just type it in on YouTube.
You just type that in, and then you just follow the next thread down the video. Like, the rabbit holes work with track and field.
And you find you find an account where you're like, I like this, you just follow them. Just give them a subscribe.
Every one of theirs, and that leads to the next one. And like right now, I'm going through a bunch of Leadville and Hard Rock 100 race videos. And it's just
spending time on that treadmill, I guess, just watching 100 milers.
I can't do it.
I love it. It just gets me going. But yeah, you just fall down rabbit holes and keep going. Otherwise, Peacock has every Diamond League meet and the vast majority of world champs and the US national championship races on there. And they have like 4 or 5 hour sessions on there. You just scroll till you get to the race you want and watch. And all these races have their scheduled events online. So you can just scroll through until you get to what you want.
That's what I like about YouTube more than something like the full broadcast. Yeah, it'll take you individual races, or there's chapters in it where you can like click on it to move through the downtime. Because if you've ever been to track meet before, there's downtime.
Oh boy,
there is some downtime.
Only downside on YouTube is that they often give away the race in the title or in the icon.
In the freaking, I leave comments in NCAAs like, stop using the winner as the thumbnail. Yeah. Stop it. It's so stupid. It's like, don't even watch this streak. I'm like, I try not to watch cover it up and try to click it because I'm trying not to see the thumbnail.
But yeah, physical discomfort here.
Yeah, I think he's all jacked up. He's ready to work out.
So much going to the bathroom ahead of me.
So you guys had Lauren Weeks on the Running Public.
Yep. And her
nice
baby.
Conversation.
Baby came on too. She's probably great. Maybe I'll listen to that one.
She's a rock star.
It was a great conversation. Yeah.
I'm starting to sweat.
You're fine. What you guys do on Tuesday?
We shamelessly plugged our training plans and walked the listeners through we'll call it periodization of the year, because a lot of our subscribers wanted to know what was coming up. So we did an episode devoted to that. Felt a little icky because we were plugging ourselves, but we got through it.
Hey. So we have a run specific plan now to go with our OCR specific. And then we talked about some of the workouts we've been doing, broke down what we've been doing in training and why, and all that good stuff.
Typical Tuesday. Brad,
what about you? What 30 minute blip did you give the people this week?
I sure did. 27-ish minutes. There was one about like treadmill usage, especially particularly for hybrid athletes, kind of like when to use it, when not to use it.
I got the run sensor installed today on the treadmill.
What's that do?
It accurately tells you what pace you're actually running.
Oh, okay. Instead of like calibrating, it just kind of,
you put reflectors on the track, on the tread, and it has a sensor here, and it measures time between sensors. So as you start running, your treadmill slows slightly, and so it gives you actual what pace you're running when you're on it. And it's way different than what Nordic Track says it is. And then it also tells you your accurate incline as well.
Interesting. That's why it's better just go on effort, no matter what.
I've been doing that, and now I want some metrics. And it's a $99 thing, so I'm testing that baby out starting today.
I had David Magida on as well. Popped on, did an interview. It was like 2 hours. I'm still in the game a little bit. Very little bit.
Who did he trash the most?
Basically us for not picking him.
Track record, Dave. All we can use.
No, I don't think he was fairly gracious. I mean, he didn't trash anybody. He just was feeling good. He was happy.
I had a chat with Ian Floyd today, and then had to go on and listen. He said, "Did you hear him on OFX?" He said,
I didn't listen.
I went on and listened. Oh, did he rip Hunter?
Did he?
And you could tell he was just waiting for one opening, and then he just.
I don't think that's a good idea. Why would you poke the bear? Doesn't make any. I'm staying.
His commentary.
The commentary was not good. I did listen.
That's what he started going in on.
Yeah. That's definitely an area of development for our guy Hunt, but
yeah, then he went off on him.
All right.
I was told, I was sent by 2 people, go to the podcast, started at 1 hour and 30 minutes in or whatever it is. I was like, I haven't done it yet, but I guess I will now.
I started it, and then I'm going to listen to the rest of it during my warm up for this workout.
Just giving it to him.
And then you're putting on Miley Cyrus when you get into the real deal.
Not a really big Miley girl.
Whatever it is. Natalie Imbruglia or whoever you're into.
At worst, Dido.
Okay, Dido.
All right, squad.
We'll go down with this shit.
Oh God, cut that out, please.
That's all we needed. That's a good way to take us out of this thing. All right,
I can't even think. I have to go to the bathroom so bad.
All right, we'll let you go. See you later.